Cinemoddities, late night movies with Rob and Zack. This is a podcast about cinematic oddities where we discuss any media that is too bizarre, abnormal, or off-kilter for contemporary audiences. Occasionally, these projects gel. Most times they crash hard into the realm of obscurity. Join us as we delve into the cult classic swamp. I'm Zack.
And I dropped my burrito on some train tracks. This week, we are continuing along with our Unexpected Love series. That's where we have movies that at least one of Rob and Zack loves. And when we tell people that, they give us a, really? Something along those lines. So I think we should kick off, once again, Zack, with, as everybody knows, we're discussing That's My Boy, the Adam Sandler movie. I think when people see that title, they're going to say, really? But there's the extra layer of who loves this movie. So should we have our audience scream out again, like we made them do last week?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so wherever you are listening to this, it could be in your home, in your car, at work, could be, while you're talking to someone else. I don't know if you do that. Just right now, scream out, who do you think loves That's My Boy? Just as loud as you can.
Louder!
Where's the math?
Where's Swiper?
Yeah. Keep screaming. Swiper, no swiping.
Swiper, no swiping. Swiper, no swiping.
Rob, no loving. Zack, no loving. All right. Would you like to tell the audience this week who loves That's My Boy?
Folks, it is your humble host, Zack, who loves That's My Boy, the 2012 Adam Sandler, Andy Samberg film.
I think this is, I think we talked about it last week as well when we read our lists to each other to get a feedback from us on which movies the other one thought was like, oh, really? When I said Adventures in Babysitting, Zack was kind of like, oh, okay, yes, I'm interested. Why would you love that? And when Zack went through, I think you said titles of dancing movies at me for 35 minutes.
Something like that.
And then you said, That's My Boy. I was immediately like, really? So it just hit the nail right on the head for this series. Zack sent it my way for me to check out. I think as he said before, there's a little sense of maybe timidity with me in comedies ever since another Adam Sandler film, Married with Children. But I watched it. I texted Zack. I have no idea why you love That's My Boy. And then the immediate next text I wrote him, I also don't know why I love That's My Boy.
Rob, come on. It's Men, Women, and Children, not Married with Children.
Oh, did I say Married with Children? Jeez. I'm trying to forget that movie so bad.
What a novice, folks. You can't even remember. They got the best movie ever made. Which I didn't even think about the fact that it's an Adam Sandler movie. I didn't even think about that. With Men, Women, and Children is such more of the oddity than it is any one specific actors.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess it's good for this week's episode, and That's My Boy. We're not looking at a serious Adam Sandler performance. We're looking at one of his comedies, which is, I think, something that we have to start with. I don't think we ever had the chance to really dive into Adam Sandler. But, he's known for his comedy. And I think everybody, when they think of Adam Sandler, they think of the older ones like Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, Grandma's Boy to a lesser extent because he's not in that one, but it is a Happy Madison production or whatever his studio's called. But I was kind of surprised that, one, Zack loved this and Zack even recommended it because I can't really pinpoint when, but somewhere along the line, I just started to see Adam Sandler as kind of like a washed up kind of comedian. Maybe it was with Grown Ups. Maybe it was with, the Judd Apatow movie Funny People, which I know is a little more serious. But I eventually just kind of totally put Adam Sandler out of my mind. Like, I remember hearing about That's My Boy back when it came out in 2012, but I had no interest in seeing it. We talked about Pixels last week. I have no interest in Pixels. And I was kind of shocked when I saw That's My Boy, and it really gave me like the classic Adam Sandler comedy vibe. Do you have that history with Adam Sandler, or was this kind of just I guess you say, how did you even come into contact with this movie?
Oh, Rob, I'm so glad you asked that question. But before we get into this, though, I do want to kind of give this a framework or some sort of structure because, as I say I do with every episode of Cinemoddities, I always go and do some research on like what other people think of this movie.
Sure.
And I think Rob's research probably told him the exact same thing, is that this movie is spit upon because it's offensive on every level. It's punching down. It's the worst. There's no redeemable qualities to this, never mind humor. And I'm just putting that out there. All those people can, what's the most elegantly way to say this? Go fuck themselves.
Yeah, I have found like every source said that this is one of the worst movies ever. And I guess that's just becoming a theme on Cinemoddities. Anything with this title, I'm thinking of Gigli, we like to reevaluate and look at again, maybe for the first time or on a second or third or fourth viewing. With the, as Zack said, a lot of people point out the offensiveness of this movie. It certainly is offensive. While I was watching it, both times, I expected Mariska Hargitay to bust into my apartment, not even the movie, my apartment, and like start yelling at me for watching this movie. But it's not as I think Red Letter Media put it, it's not pathetic and pitiful. I would say it's the furthest thing from that. It's almost more satirical.
Yeah, that's the thing that, okay. Oh God, because that's the weird thing with this movie is that everybody's so busy attacking it. And I'm talking more about like 2012 when it came out, the summer of 2012. And everybody forgets that like back during that time period in the long forgotten period of 8 years ago, that we were not in the hyper politically correct era that we're in now. And I think it's because of people who said you're not allowed to laugh at this movie are the people that are now responsible for what we have now, and that like comedy is so policed and censored by the media.
Yes.
This was kind of like a canary in the coal mine where it's like, oh, if you don't like it and you don't find it funny, that's fine. But you can't say that it's wrong for other people to laugh at it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's, something that really stood out to me from the Red Letter Media Half in the Bag review was they were like, Adam Sandler thinks it's funny to make, or think it's good or whatever, to make fun of everyone. And they took that, they said that was almost like a bad thing. And I'm like, that's what comedy should be. It's making fun of everyone. No one is, beyond reproach for these things. That's the concept of comedy, I would say.
Yeah, but that's okay. I'm glad you brought up the Red Letter Media thing, because just the context with them is that back when Jack and Jill came out in November of 2011, they did a 2-part, like, oh God, I don't even want to call it like an expose, but they really went through and kind of tore Adam Sandler apart in the sense of like talking about how, like all this, the crass product placement and how there really is no substance to that film. It's just there to sell things. And it's really well done. To this day, I still like read articles, and anytime like Adam Sandler comes up, a lot recently with Uncut Gems, people will highlight how blatant the product placement was in Jack and Jill, how that was kind of like a tipping point for him, where a lot of people just kind of said like enough. And I do think, like, as odd as it may sound, Red Letter Media is a weird vanguard now when it comes to film criticism. So when they say something, it does have an impact on, like, I don't know, whether it be, I don't think culture, but at least when it comes to film culture. Or like, I'm sorry, online film culture. That's the right way to describe it. And so they attacked Jack and Jill. And Jack and Jill, for the most part, deserves to be attacked. A couple nights ago, it was actually on TV at like 3 a.m. And I started watching it. And I get why they attacked that film along with everybody else, because it is. It's really an obnoxious film. It's over the top, like in the worst way possible. And That's My Boy is over the top too, but it's a much more coherent film. And I think it's so odd that I think maybe That's My Boy got sucked kind of into the black hole of Jack and Jill, that people were just so primed to hate Adam Sandler. And I've never, to answer Rob's question that he initially asked, I've never had a problem with Adam Sandler. I'm kind of the opposite of most people. I don't like his early comedies. I don't like Happy Gilmore. I don't like the one where he Billy Madison. Mm-hmm. I don't really care for Mr. Deeds or Eight Crazy Nights. Yeah, I don't like any of those. The first Adam Sandler movie that I think I genuinely loved was Anger Management with Jack Nicholson.
Oh, I haven't seen that in forever.
Oh, that is one of my all-time favorite comedies. And yes, Jack Nicholson brings a lot to the table in that. he definitely props up Adam Sandler. But that was like back in the day, that was like my favorite comedy of all time. Everything about that movie just tickled me on every level. And then I think the next Sandler movie I really kind of latched onto was You Don't Mess with the Zohan.
Oh, sure.
And I think that's a genuine classic, and that does show up enough now on cable that people really can't deny just how great that film is.
Mm-hmm.
And by great, I mean like in the canon of Adam Sandler films.
Yeah.
And I remember the next Adam Sandler film I saw after that was Just Go With It with Jennifer Aniston. And even though that's less like plot driven, like whereas That's My Boy and You Don't Mess with the Zohan are, it's just Adam Sandler with a bunch of people. Like there's kids involved and they do stuff and he falls in love at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that movie. It has a couple of good moments in it. I have no problems with it. And after that, like Jack and Jill came out, I'm like, okay. And like I saw the horrible reviews and I'm like, yeah, this sounds bad. Like as a train wreck, it's fascinating to dissect, but it really is one of those films that's more, it should be looked at as like a post-mortem and how not to make a film with product placement.
Okay.
It's a cautionary tale if you're a studio executive, if you want to pay for the movie through product placement. But then when That's My Boy came out, I remember when it came out in the summer, and I forget, I can't remember the first time I saw this movie, but I know I got it for Christmas that year on DVD. And ever since then, I've absolutely loved this film. Like I know Rob talks about like he has his like rotation of certain films he'll just put on because it's just like, oh, I watch this once a year. I watch this every 6 months. Mm-hmm. That's My Boy's never been that way with me. I just kind of like forget about it. And then like a couple of years later, I'm like, oh, That's My Boy. And I watch it and I fall in love with it all over again. And because when I suggested this to Rob, or before I even suggested it, I watched like the first half of it and I was just dying. And in preparation for this recording, I watched it one full time and I started rewatching it again today. And I was starting to laugh at it even more the third time than I did the first time. I guess we should say too, like we talked about with Men, Women, and Children, how subjective comedy is. And just to give people, considering this is one of my choices, when it comes to like studio comedies or just any sort of broad comedies for mass audiences, I don't find anything funny. As you know, on this podcast, I like very niche things, and even worse so when it comes to like things I think are funny. And so like so many broad comedies just don't do anything for me. Like The Hangover. I remember seeing that Cameron Diaz movie where she's a bad teacher. I remember my mom wanted to see that, and we saw it in theaters. I just sat there. I'm like, none of this is funny. And it's like, oh, Justin Timberlake is dry humping her. Ha 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 ha. And then he jizzes in his pants. Ha 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 ha. And it's funny because he's wearing pants and you can see the stain in his jeans. I'm like, how is that funny? I'm like, I don't get how that's funny. It's like, oh, he's dry humping her. Of course he's not, he's going to have a stain there. Why wouldn't he have it? Like I don't get the comedy in that. And it's like, oh, she's bored while he's dry humping her. Well, she would be bored because she's not. Why would she be feeling any pleasure from that? Like, and I remember sitting in the theater and everyone was just howling. And I'm like, I don't get it, man. Like this isn't for me. Yet I watched this, and you have Adam Sandler at like the day spa, and they're all walking away, and like he turns around to like one of the like, oh God, masseuses. And he's like, you got to promise me. You'll show your tits to my son. And I'm just like, I am rolling like on my sides, like clutching myself, trying to contain myself because I'm just dying laughing at that weird, bizarro non sequitur.
I think that's a great point to bring up because I think that's why I found so much enjoyment from this movie, because it's the first movie I've seen since like the older Adam Sandlers that I do like. Especially I do enjoy Billy Madison because Adam Sandler's actually playing like a full fleshed out character. And it's all those little moments where he's acting as, Donnie Berger in this movie that he's established Donnie Berger would act as. And it's great, It's like that in and of itself is funny. It's a great full character. And that's something I don't think we get a lot from comedies. Like you said, it has to be those weird, awkward moments that, that are just going to play for like the raunchy laughs, where this isn't really a movie filled with jokes, I would say. It's more of a movie filled with situations that our characters get themselves in.
Yeah, and the situations become more and more bizarre and just out there at times. Like there's certain things in this, and I don't want Rob to sit there ruin the big thing that comes toward the end of this movie, the last big reveal, because Rob has a tendency of just kind of like throwing these things out there all willy nilly.
I'll say the quote right now.
No, secret tickle time. That might be my favorite euphemism for sex ever. Secret tickle time.
You have a name for it?
Like everything about this movie, like a lot of times when it comes to comedies you watch, like comedies have a very specific formula they follow. Like, okay, you have to put a lot of jokes into the first third. Then you have to like slow it down, let your audience catch their breath by like, about like halfway through. And then you kind of pick it up like when you hit the 2/3 mark. And then by the last like 20 minutes, there's no comedy at all. And it's just reconciling what the characters have to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And with this, I would say the comedy never stops because it's weird that, like, yes, this movie is plot driven, but this movie doesn't seem to be concerned with any really plot element other than making the audience laugh. Because yes, we do have a resolution. I guess we should give some plot synopsis at some point soon. But it seems more concerned with just like making us laugh as opposed to following any sort of like conventional wisdom when it comes to a comedy, when you're making a comedy.
Yeah. It's cohesive in that way for sure. And we do have to give a plot synopsis because I definitely, have some thoughts about the structure of this movie and why it ends up working so well. But before we get off the topic of Adam Sandler, I think the two that came to mind, two movies that I wanted to get your thoughts on. Do you ever see The Wedding Singer?
I've never seen that.
Okay. And then I know you've seen 50 First Dates. It might have been in Italian, though.
All right. Can I please tell the story to that?
Yes, of course.
All right. I remember 50 First Dates. Rob and I had an Italian teacher in high school, and she had a copy that was dubbed in Italian. Mm-hmm. And at one point, like, she made us watch it, and I turned around to the whole class and go, why is it they're speaking Italian in Hawaii? And yes. I got the dirtiest look from everybody. And I'm like, nobody has a sense of humor. Nobody has a sense of humor anymore. Yeah. And I'm like, you people don't deserve me. It's like, what? It's like the Hannibal Buress meme. It's like, why are you booing me? I'm right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really at that point. I'm like, you know what? You people deserve each other. You deserve to rot. But yes, yeah, I 50 First Dates, it's fine. At least it's a unique premise.
Yeah.
But it's still that same thing. It's just like two people. It's Adam Sandler playing a dude, not a character.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen that in a while, but I think I enjoyed it when I was younger. But it kind of fell off the face of the earth, as I got older. I don't even think I have a copy of it on any of my hard drives or anything like that. But
it's not Rogue One.
Yeah, exactly. One copy on each hard drive. I while we're on the topic though, because yes, Zack and I, well, we weren't in the same class of Italian that year. We had the same teacher, and that was just what she did for a unit, was show us that movie in Italian, I think. But while we're on the topic, I did want to say it's going to lead up to what I think might be the funnest fact we've ever had on Cinemoddities. I don't know. I'm sure. Yeah. And so if you ever look into the history of Adam Sandler and you kind of know, well, how did he get famous? When did people really start to notice him? And who was his partners in crime? If you think about that today, you got Rob Schneider, you got Kevin James, David Spade, all the people that are in the grown-ups movies and stuff like that. But if you look back enough, and still to this day, he was even on I think a producer or an executive producer on That's My Boy. You'll consistently see the name Tim Herlihy. And Tim Herlihy is the writer of The Wedding Singer and a lot of those early Adam Sandler movies. And Tim Herlihy's even the one that wrote stand-up for Adam Sandler when they met each other in New York University way back in the day. But prior to meeting Adam Sandler, Tim Herlihy graduated from high school in 1984. And 26 years later, both Zack and Rob graduated from the same high school. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yes. So Tim Herlihy grew up in Poughkeepsie, New York, and graduated from Arlington High School in 1984. And like I said, 26 years later, Zack and I graduated from that same high school.
Wow, how about that?
So I could not find any other famous alumni other than us and Tim Herlihy from AHS, but that's our connection to Adam Sandler.
How about that? Cool. No, Rob, that's a connection to That's My Boy.
Yes, sure. So yeah, I think that's the funnest fact that we've ever had on Cinemoddities. That we were a few maybe a generation after Adam Sandler's writing partner.
I like that. We entered the high school 20 plus years after he graduated.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if they'll ever graduate anybody famous again after us.
No, never again. Oh God. Okay, Rob. So what is the plot to That's My Boy?
So Donnie Berger, as a middle school student, I believe.
It's weird. It's hard to tell, but I think he's in 8th grade.
Okay, yeah. He's going through puberty, and he has a crush on one of his teachers, Mrs. McGarrigle, I think it is. I kept wanting to say McGillicuddy for some reason, but it's McGarrigle. And he has a crush on her. He overtly flirts with her right in the hallway, and then he has to go to detention because of it. And in detention, in front of another student, she comes on to him, and they end up having a
sustained sexual affair.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. Sustained sexual affair that ends up with it becoming public knowledge that they're having sex with each other consistently, and a pregnancy. Donnie Berger becomes a celebrity because of this, while Miss McGarrigle goes to jail for 30 years. And the custody of the child is given to Donnie Berger and his father. And then when the kid turns 18, the kid's name is Han Solo Berger. It's the coolest fucking name ever, right? He decides to leave and finds his own name for himself, Todd Peterson. He tries to distance himself from Donnie Berger, the wild celebrity. We go ahead in time where Donnie Berger's all washed up. He owes $43,000 to the IRS in back taxes, told to him by his tax attorney, played by Rex Ryan, the guy who coached the fucking New York Jets when Mark Sanchez was around. It's the strangest cameo I think I've ever seen in a movie.
It's great.
43 grand Adam Sandler owes, and he doesn't have the money, and he thinks he knows he can get the money if he reunites his family at the women's prison where Miss McGarrigle is still in jail. He goes to find his son. The son and him kind of rebond with each other, and then things fall apart, things come back together, and that's kind of what we were saying about the usual comedy, reconciliation at the end. So that's the plot. I know that the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie is very much kind of anchored in the, I need this 43 grand, I got to pay off my back taxes. But something that I really enjoyed about this, and it was apparent to me the second time I watched it, the middle 80% of the movie is not concerned with this at all. It's really about Adam Sandler just trying to get back in the good graces of his son. And kind of being a true father figure. And in turn, Andy Samberg, who plays his adult son, realizing that his dad that he hated and kind of ran away from isn't that bad of a dude. He's just a different person. And that's where I think this movie really gels. Because yes, there's the superstructure of, we got to get this thing done. But it's really more just to get the plot moving at the end. I really love the whole middle chunk of this movie where it's just, Adam Sandler as Donnie Berger pretending to be his son's best friend because the family thinks his parents died in an explosion. And it really works well. He's playing a great character, and I dig it.
Yeah, Rob said it perfectly. The Rex Ryan cameo is the greatest thing ever. The first time I watched it, I was like, I know who that is. That looks so familiar. And then I was like, it's the dude I've seen while my dad watched football when I was in high school, Oh, it's so great. Like even the town, because the whole movie takes place in Massachusetts. Yes. And I oh my God, like I'm not a sports person, Rob can tell you that though. But like Adam Sandler picks up a chair in the office and throws it. It's like, come on, man, not my Tom Brady poster. That's my favorite one. Just look at that chin and the perfect amount of scruff. Like I'm just laughing.
Come on, Donnie, don't screw up my Tom Brady poster. It's my favorite one. Look at that jawline. Just the right amount of scruff.
I was laughing my ass off. Then like he starts like kicking his desk. He's like, "Come on!" And there's like a bobblehead of Bill Belichick. Come on, man, not the genius. I'm just like, it's fabulous. It's like it's one of those things where if you are going to do reference comedy, which is definitely super popular now, like with things like Family Guy and just like the internet culture we live in, if you're going to reference something, it has to be something that's so seismic that it will resonate with like throughout the years.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. Like you have to pick Tom Brady and Bill Belichick that to this day are still relevant in the pop culture. And it works. I think about that joke works just as well now as it did 8 years ago.
Oh yeah. And I wasn't even thinking about it that way, but you're absolutely right. I do love that aspect of it. It really struck me as, we said it back in our House 2 episode with the Ratzenberger cameo. It's like this is the right way to do a cameo, have Rex Ryan there for one big scene, and that's really all he's in it, and just use him in like you said, in an appropriate way with that seismic kind of everlasting joke. It's fantastic. Yeah,
and that's just that's what a 2-3 minute sequence in a 2-hour long film.
Yeah. And it works so well because this is after our opening. Our opening is all young Donnie Berger having sex with the teacher and stuff like that, and then the trial, and then we get the title sequence, and then it goes to basically this scene. And even in that whole, we got Rex Ryan doing the Patriots jokes. It works so well also because, you have the establishment of who Donnie Berger is now, because up to that point, he's just a kid who, had sex with his teacher. And the teacher was, the one who kind of came on to him in the meaningful way. But you have those scenes where it's like Adam Sandler is so out of touch with kind of everything because he's been this just tabloid celebrity for so long. I died laughing at the line where Rex Ryan is like, "What about your kid, Han Solo Berger? Can you reach out to him?" And he's like, "Oh, we haven't talked in years." And he goes, "Why don't you Facebook him?" And Donnie Berger says, "I can't afford that shit. What, you think I'm a billionaire?" And it's like, it's hilarious, but it sets it up so well. It's like, that's how out of touch this dude is with the real world.
Why don't you just Facebook him?
I can't afford that shit. What am I, a billionaire?
Like that's the thing though. Is like even in that sequence, there's so much it's so fast paced. Like a couple of times as I was rewatching this, I had to turn the subtitles on because I'm laughing and I'm missing stuff because it's going by so quickly.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And it's just,
my hallmark of a fantastic comedy, something that you're laughing so hard you miss some jokes. That's always a good sign.
It is, because it's just there's so much going on. It's not like that type of comedy where it's just the one note again and again and again and again. It's so and I know a lot of people don't like it for this reason, but it's like the comedy's coming at you from so many different angles. Mm-hmm. Like you're laughing at one thing, then out of nowhere somebody else says something that's almost not, again, non sequiturs. There's these comments that the characters make that make the kind of come out of nowhere, but oddly enough kind of like just connect in, and there's these random things happening in the corner you wouldn't realize until you rewatch it. Yep. Like this is a strangely, oddly dense film.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess, I one of the things that I read is that this movie gets a lot of flack for, as they've put it, glorifying, pedophilia or, not statutory rape is probably the best way to put it. Yes. But it's like but that's really only in the opening. That's just kind of the setup for this movie. And the second time when I watched this, it was kind of like, oh, the opening just works as satire. Like, it's so over the top, like, especially with him becoming a celebrity because of this. Not just like, oh, people knew about him in the papers for a week. Like, he's a long-lasting celebrity. That, and, the whole school cheering for him when they're having sex behind, like, the student body speech, It's like, that is so off the wall. That is what, like, satire is. And as we've said before, a good satire tricks people into thinking that it's real. And so every time I was reading, people were like, oh, this is so offensive. Like, this older woman is having sex with a younger boy. Like, that's so offensive. It's like the movie's making light of it. And it's like, that's just means it's doing its job.
But that's the thing. Okay, I want to address the whole idea of the statutory rape thing because as I was like Rob said, you read reviews for this and everybody's just so hung up on that aspect of the film. Mm-hmm. And we should point out the fact that I think Rob said it better than I'm going to, but it's like we've all seen those stories and it's a reality of the society we live in now and even back in the past. Like you see those stories about the gorgeous like 25-year-old teacher that like the story comes like, oh, she was like messing around with her underage students. And if it was a male teacher doing the same thing with a female student, the male teacher would be locked away forever.
Yeah. I think there's one of the older episodes of South Park does it perfectly, where I think the female student has sex with Ike or something like that,
yes.
And everybody, even the police and the lawyers who find out about this, they're like, nice.
You did the right thing telling the police, Brad. Now, who is the teacher? What's his name?
Well, it isn't a guy teacher, it's a woman.
A woman?
Yeah, she's having sex with a boy.
Oh, but she's ugly, right?
Well, no, not really. It's the kindergarten teacher, Miss Stevenson.
The blonde?
Yeah.
Some young boy's having sex with Miss Stevenson?
Yes.
Nice.
What? No, you don't understand it.
You sure they've had sex?
Yeah.
Has she performed oral sex on him?
I think so.
Nice. So wait, what's the crime?
But that's the thing, though. And I think, like you said, people are getting mad at the film. But when that does happen, like when you see the stories that like, oh, and you see this like gorgeous woman, and it's like she's messing around with underage kids, most people in society, I'm not saying it's good or bad, will be like, nice. And that's just what it is. Like you can't get mad at Adam Sandler for holding up a mirror to our society.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what happens. Like, yes, the idea of having the entire student body cheer on him. And I love the fact that we have the inspirational quote like on the balcony that says, some of us have greatness thrust upon them.
Yeah.
Like that's another thing too. Like I've seen this movie how many times, and I just caught that in today's viewing.
Yeah, it's dense, like you said.
But even the fact that we have like the guy that's like reading, like you hear them like moaning behind the curtain, and we have like the kid who wants to be somebody for student body president, and he's like, I want to get me a piece of that. He like turns around.
Yes.
Something like that. Like it's like, okay. Again, it's like weird non sequitur comedy, which I don't think it's not done a lot. And when it's done, it's not done properly. Because even like later on in the film, like not even that far later on, but like when we see we have the court hearing, and we see Mrs. McGonagall, and she's there, Mrs. McGarrigle.
McGarrigle, yeah.
McGarrigle.
I would have loved if it was McGonagall, like from Harry Potter. That would have been amazing.
Adam Sandler gets a cease and desist from J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
But even the fact that like we see this, and we see the bailiff and the stenographer high five.
I think even some of the jury is like being like, oh yeah. Or maybe it's not the jury, maybe it's like the people, audience in the courtroom or something like that.
But like we even have like the judge reading the statement from Mrs. McGarrigle, and it's like, that kid, when we're having sex, makes it feel like there's a rainbow coming out of my beaver.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, that's so, like, again, it's this dialogue that comes out of nowhere.
The fact that this relationship has resulted in a pregnancy and you show absolutely no remorse, saying, and I quote, I would fuck that kid again and again. He makes me feel like there's a rainbow coming out of my beaver.
Yeah, it's pushed to the extreme. Like that whole beginning, it just screams a satire to me. It's comedic satire. It's pushed to its limits, and it's well done.
But it's just like, it's weird. Like, yes, that's raunchy dialogue, but it's so like out of step with what we get today.
Oh,
like if we were to get this movie, which we wouldn't, we should say this movie could not. This would be one of those movies that like we've joked about the black Sharpie and crossing things out. There wouldn't be a black Sharpie. It would just be a wood chipper that we throw the script into.
Yeah,
because no one on earth would make this movie today. Never mind, the studio wouldn't allow. It would never give money at all to this sort of project. But still, you have these lines of dialogue. They're just like, they're not blatantly raunchy in the way you'd expect.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Absolutely.
Like, especially like in today's day and age, we have like Amy Schumer comedy where women talk about just like what it's like to have sex in a way that they don't feel they have to keep anything, contained. But the idea of somebody saying that like, oh, having sex with a minor is the equivalent of feeling like there's a rainbow coming out of my downstairs. Yeah. Like if you're I know there's like an Amy Schumer joke where she's like, guys love to come on me. And it's like, we love swimming through cum. And she starts like doing these motions. I'm like, there's no setup. It's just Yeah, it's
I've always thought about it as, more kind of the sexual based comedy that I feel like I hear more of now, and I'm not a big fan of, is just like it's overtly sexual type of thing, and it's not serving a purpose. Whereas in this movie, as we've been saying, it all fits into this mold and this layout that they're giving us as the foundation for the rest of this film, which, like we were also saying, it doesn't even become like a main point. The statutory rape is the first 5 minutes, and then that's it. It's like the kid exists. Donnie Berger was a bad father because he was also a kid, and that just takes it. That's all we need to get the story going.
Yeah, and yes, there is a lot of. I think it's fair to say there's a lot of raunch and sex-derived comedy in this, but it all feels appropriate in the scene that we're in.
Yep.
It never like yes, there's some points where like it comes out of nowhere where like Todd like has like sex with the dress, and we have the girlfriend or the fiance like lick it. She's like, "You barfed on my dress." And what's this other stain? She starts like smelling it, and then she licks it. She's like, somebody jizzed on my dress. You like, and that it's like, okay, that I'm not to say that's a step too far, but we get your point without her licking it.
Yeah, exactly. And it takes forever. Like, it's very drawn out, and it's like that's one of those things where I get what you're saying. It's like, we know where this is going. Why draw it out any longer?
Sure, like it's not a perfect film, but it has so many hits you're willing to forgive the few misses. Yeah,
that's a good way to put it, for sure.
But going through the plot of this, and I feel that's, again, this is going to be another one where I don't, there's too much to highlight. Unlike Cat in the Hat and other things where like, okay, I'm going to list everything. I just can't. Like, this would be like Geely. We'll insert the entire audio of the movie here.
Yeah, especially I would love to just put every bit of this movie with Milo Ventimiglia in it is amazing. Like, this is his best performance, I think, hands down.
It really, like, every actor in this feels like they have their moment to like their 15 minutes. Yeah, you never feel like, oh, I didn't get enough time of this character, or this character didn't realize, like, oh, they really didn't use that character appropriately. Because, like, even in the very beginning, where, like, after he sees Rex Ryan, he goes to the strip club. Mm-hmm. We have Lunel, who everybody knows is just kind of like the overweight, like, the black character actor.
Yep.
I think most people know her as Borat's wife. I guess that's how I've always known her.
Yeah.
And we see her there as she's playing a stripper, and she's Champale. That's her name.
Yep.
And it's like he's at the strip club at like 8 a.m. And he's like, again, we're talking about the plot, like, oh, how does he get the money? Oh, look, there's my son. He's getting married. And while this is happening, her daughter comes up to her and is like, Mom, like, do you want your breakfast after you're done with, like, being on stage? And we should point out that this strip club has a fantastic omelet bar.
Yes, and something that infuriated me because they didn't even get it right in the Red Letter Media review. In the Red Letter Media review, they're like, the strip club's name is Bacon Legs. And it's like, are you fucking dense? It's Bacon and Legs. It's a play on bacon and eggs. Like, How do you not even realize that when you say it, that you made a mistake?
Yeah, like I said, they had an agenda going into that review.
Yeah, it is bacon and legs, and they have a full like breakfast omelet bar. It's great. And like Zack said, do you want your breakfast after you're done on stage? No, honey, you can give it to me now. Donnie don't mind. Do you, Donnie? And he's like, he doesn't even answer the question. He's just looking at like the newspaper or whatever.
But like I love how that continues, and like that alone would be like its own haha. But then we see her eat the eggs upside down while hanging off the strip pole. Mm-hmm. And then we see her like eating more. And then she has like a glass of orange juice. And she just kind of just dumps it over her head.
Oh yeah, that is going to come up for snacks later on. The upside down orange juice for sure.
like she doesn't even try. She just dumps it. Like, I don't know. Like and there's so much going on because the whole time while that's happening, we have her daughter Bree and Donnie talking, and we getting all this information about how Han Solo Burger is now Todd, and how he says that his parents exploded, were died in an explosion, which shows up numerous times in the film. And then as that's like going on, and we're like kind of like establishing like Donnie's plan of going to his son, and like or just like setting up their history between each other. Champale gets called off stage, and it's like, that was the incomparable Champale, and now looking hot and ignoring doctor's orders. Let's welcome Amber. And she comes in wearing a complete head and neck brace.
Mm-hmm.
And in one of the Nick Swartzen goes a long way in Adam Sandler movies, but his role here is Kenny, who's just he punctuates scenes. This is the part the first time I watched this movie, I knew I was going to love it at this moment. He turns around when she comes out on stage and goes, "What the fuck happened to her?" The most redneck, trashy, stupid voice possible. And we have to insert the clip.
And now looking hot and ignoring doctor's orders, let's welcome Amber.
What the fuck happened to her?
Fuck you, Kenny.
Hey, what's up, RoboCop?
But
and then isn't she like, "Fuck you, Kenny," and he goes, "Okay, RoboCop."
And I love it. The best part too is that this woman playing Amber the stripper, she's not bad looking. She even has the nipple coverings.
Mm-hmm.
She's not they're not repeating the same joke of her being overweight or something bizarre, some sort of physical abnormality for a stripper. It's just she's wearing a head and neck brace. You have Lunel being the fat prostitute. I'm not prostitute, I'm sorry, the fat stripper. But then you have something else that's jarring to see at a strip club. And it's played appropriately by the white trash that would be in there on a Tuesday morning.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason this movie works. Yeah, this movie works so well is that it's not Adam Sandler doing everything. There are these other Kenny is a very minor character. And he's, like you said, he goes a long way. And it's that makes more sense. Have these other patrons, add comedic effect. Like with the DJ, you were saying. The DJ is only in that one scene. And he's and now coming out and ignoring doctor's orders. It's that fits way more than if Adam Sandler was going to be looking at the picture of his son in the magazine for the wedding thing. And then also making jokes. Then it would feel too overplayed and too forced in. Yeah,
you're fleshing out the world of a comedy.
Yes.
There's more than just going on. Like we said, in a lot of comedies, it's just the plot. It's the main 2 or 3 characters, and that's all we're going to focus on. Mm-hmm. In this movie, it's there's other things going on. There's other comedy we derive for the audience's enjoyment than just from the main, A storyline.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so at this point, we I guess we should say that Todd and his fiance, who I forget what her name is, they go off to Todd's boss's summer home.
Yeah, well, he has a villa type of thing.
Yeah, and he's played by Tony Orlando.
Oh, it's great.
Well, that's the other thing too, that I would imagine most people don't recognize Tony Orlando anymore. Mm-hmm. But I guess we should say everybody in this movie is also 100% committed. It doesn't feel like anybody is reining it in. And this has always been a big thing when it comes to Adam Sandler films. It feels like everybody on set was having fun. Yeah, definitely. And that's always good to see. Exactly. And then how we're and that's the thing too, is so many people are concerned about how just mean-spirited this movie is. But I think a lot of people are missing is that pretty much every character in the film, minus Donnie and Todd and maybe Vanilla Ice toward the end, they're all horrible people.
Yeah, it's kind of, playing off the they're all the more upper class type of thing. They're all snobby. They all think they're better than everybody else, and they are, conniving and manipulating to get whatever they want for them. They're all working towards their ends. And that's I'm not saying it's good to make fun of those people, but it's consistent in this film.
Sure, because how we're introduced to Tony Orlando, he's showing off his estate, and he's every member of my staff are lucky to be in this country, so feel free to abuse the shit out of them. Mm-hmm. And he points to the Asian butler and maid, and yet again everybody highlights that in their reviews. One of the characters says this explicitly, and then the whole point is that toward the end of the film, Donnie is making breakfast for everybody, and he has the maid and the butler sitting at the table eating breakfast. And he's nope, you enjoy breakfast and don't you dare touch these dishes. That's my job. It's the idea.
But you were only 13. She took advantage of you.
No, all right. That's what the law says, Sue Jin. But I don't know. We were kind of soulmates. It was a connection there. I never had it with anyone else. I'm getting a call. I'm sorry, guys. Do not touch these plates. I'm cleaning them, okay, Sue Jin?
It's
It's
show that,
so
like,
well done.
yeah, it's to show that, like, yes, it's to show how horrible these other characters are, but it's also later on to add gravitas. So when Donnie does have his shift as a person, it gives it more substance.
Mhm.
And yet the critics just can't recognize that. They're just so hung up on the politically incorrect aspect of it. They don't realize that it's being written in a way to enhance the characters in the overall film.
Yes, yeah, and I think that's another reason why this movie works so well for me. Well, I think it works in general and for me is that Adam Sandler, the character of Donnie Berger, like we said, is fleshed out, but he's complete. He's doing things that are in character, and I also want to bring up that his whole kind of outward acting works as well, like the semi-slurred lisp type of voice that he has on, the mannerisms, all of it is so fantastic to watch. It's enthralling.
Yeah, like he's actually acting. Like he's not just a guy.
Yes.
And yet people, like, we've been wanting this from Adam Sandler forever, where he's not just playing a dude. And he's doing that here. He's actually trying. And once again, it's politically incorrect. So nope, doesn't matter if it's what we want or not. It just there's one thing that we don't like. So into the wood chipper. Yeah,
it's unfortunate. No, he's great. I know we're gonna have to talk about Milo Ventimiglia. So I did want to bring this up. Is it Milo or Milo? Do you know?
I have no idea.
So I have no idea either. I think I said Milo because the first thing I ever saw him in was Heroes back in the day. And I think I said Milo Ventimiglia for a while, but I ended up switching to Milo Ventimiglia because that rolls off the tongue better. I think at this point, which how much it's come up with people, or us, I would say, not knowing how to pronounce actors' names. And then also, like, I know it's come up recently on Zack's other podcast where what he said, as I've always said, Dominic Monaghan, and someone said, oh, it's Moynihan. I think we should institute a rule. We are going to stick to our ways and pronounce actors' names regardless of how they're actually pronounced until the actual actor comes on our show as a guest and tells us how to pronounce it correctly. What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
So Milo Ventimiglia, that's what I'm going to say his name as until he's on here. I don't know what we can talk about this movie with him if he ever comes on, and then compare it to This Is Us, and then he will tell us how to correctly pronounce his name. I don't want any corrections from anybody else because you don't know either. Okay.
I don't think anybody wants to ever talk about this film that was involved with making it wrong.
I know, that's a bummer.
I know. But going to Chad's character as what's Leighton Meester's character's name? I can't think.
I think it's Jamie.
Jamie, okay. And as her brother, I listened to 2 podcasts about this movie. One was from a actual popular podcast called The Flophouse. Like the episode they recorded about this was I think at least 6 or 7 years old, and they more or less crap on it, but more in the way that Red Letter Media crapped on it. The other podcast was from one titled Adam Sandler, Please Stop. And they go through Adam Sandler's movies and just criticize them, which I don't know. Why would you create a podcast to complain about something every week?
Sure.
That's so weird to actually start something just to complain just every single week about it, but to each his own. But they, as I was listening to their discussion about this, to be break, I guess they didn't explain what their gimmick is. And I didn't know this until I eventually stopped it. Was that what they do is they watch the movie, they introduce it they introduce the movie without seeing it. And they're like, okay, we're going to take 3 breaks throughout the movie and we'll talk about what we've seen up until that point. And then at the end, we'll recap the movie as a whole.
Okay.
I didn't know that until halfway through. So at numerous points, they'll be okay. And then okay, that's my boy. And then they'll cut to them talking again, being okay, so my first complaint with this movie is, and it's not established, they take breaks. So it's they'll be oh, so Milo so-and-so's character, he shows up and I'm a former Marine and his entire outfit doesn't make sense. How can he be private first class while being a Marine? That makes no sense at all. The movie's so stupid. They can't even get that right. And then another sequence, he's wearing his his rank patch, and that can't be right because he's a private first class and he has a sergeant's ranking. This movie's so stupid. They can't do any research. And the whole time I'm do they not realize that that's the joke of the movie? He's a fraud. And then it dawned on me, and I'm oh, wait, They are literally just reacting to the movie in real time.
Okay.
Instead of like watching it, digesting it, and then having an opinion on it. And I'm like, this is like seriously the worst podcast ever.
Yeah, that's strange for sure, because I would imagine in almost all cases of them doing this, once they get to the end of the movie, their previous concerns will be void.
Yeah. I don't get it. I'm like, A, why would you create a podcast just to crap on one specific actor? And then 2, because eventually you're going to run out of material.
Yeah.
Like, Adam Sandler's only made so many movies. Like, you can, even if you do like maybe like one episode a month, you've got maybe like 5 years top until you run out of material.
Yeah, definitely.
And then like the whole idea of just, like Rob said, you have to throw out most of what you said because it doesn't matter at the end of the day. And then 3, why are you reacting to stuff in real time? You're not reviewing it. You're just reacting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful. It might be one of the worst podcasts I've ever heard. Because like they get so hung up on the statutory rape thing, which we've already discussed. But they're just so hung up on that. And it's like, did it turn the movie off?
Mm-hmm.
If you're that angry over one thing so early in the movie, clearly you're not going to like it.
Yeah. It's a strange thing for sure.
Yeah. The only thing I don't know, though, much like I think we've talked about it in previous podcasts, anytime you have a man and a woman, I'm always fascinated by their romantic, the romantic dynamic between them. I guess they were watching it together, like physically. So I don't know if they were married or in like a relationship. But as Rob knows, ever since then, I'm fascinated because just a heads up to any female podcasters out there. If you co-host a podcast with a man that you're not in a relationship with, there's like a 99% chance he wants to boink you. I'm just, and Rob can attest to that. Like there's a very strong chance that like, if you're going to get into a podcast thing with a dude that you're not dating or married to, he wants you to some capacity. Like you need to sign like a weird quasi like podcasting prenuptial agreement. Just putting that out there, just for your own benefit. Get the lawyers involved. Especially
if you're from Detroit.
To this day, I listen to the end of that episode and I just die laughing.
Oh, man.
All right. So after the whole thing with Chad, we see Donnie at the what's his name show. Oh, God. What? Not Jerry Springer.
Oh, yeah. It's like Randall Morgan or something like that, I think.
Yes.
And, that whole scene is a great setup because that's where we're introduced to Vanilla Ice. And they look at each other like him and Donnie Burger, then they're very adversarial. And the whole thing, apparently Donnie Burger slept with Vanilla Ice's mom. But it's great. But they go on, and I love the meta commentary of Vanilla Ice because Adam Sandler says something like, "You must be loaded. Like, what are you doing here? Like, off of Ice Ice Baby." And one of the things that Vanilla Ice says, he's like, Suge Knight took so much of that money, and we could do a whole episode on like the story behind Suge Knight and him, like, threatening and suing Vanilla Ice over Ice Ice Baby and that whole thing. But it's so funny.
That entire bit is hysterical because it's like Vanilla Ice goes up to Donnie. He's like, "You slept with my mom, man," and he's like, "Dude, how could I have known? It's like her last name is Ice or something."
Yes.
And Vanilla Ice's response is, "You should have known by the haircut."
And doesn't Donnie Burger, he's like, "Okay, I'll give you that one."
He's like, "Oh, come on, Vanilla Bean Latte. You've got to have some money." And like Rob was saying, Vanilla Ice, and this is 100% factual. He's like, Queen got 50% of the money.
Yeah.
Suge Knight got 50% of the money. He's like, hell, when that song plays now, I owe people money.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's just like, oh my God, like you're taking a real life thing. Like I'm not sure how many people, like Rob hinted at it though, but the real thing that like Suge Knight went up to Vanilla Ice's like hotel room and essentially like almost pushed him off the balcony on the 13th floor unless he signed over like the rights to it. Like that's hysterical. Like who would expect that in an Adam Sandler statutory rape comedy? That's profound.
Yep.
Oh, hey, Vanilla Ice. Randall's just getting makeup. Go ahead to the green room.
Vanilla, what's up, guy? It's been a long time. How you been? Are you seriously giving me the silent treatment still? You know that hurts me.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm giving it to you. How's it feel, chump?
It's breaking my heart. We were friends for 20 years, guy.
We were friends until you banged my mother.
I didn't know it was her, I swear to God. It's not like her last name is Ice.
You should have known by the haircut.
Oh, come on, Vanilla Bean Latte. Will you just... I'm just saying, I'm in big trouble, guy. It's like monetary thing. I'm going to prison if I don't get 43 lives, so...
What, do you think I got that kind of money?
Of course you got that kind of money. Royalties from Ice Ice Baby, you must be fucking loaded.
Man, listen, Queen took 50%, Suge took the other 60%. I fucking owe money when that shit gets played, man.
Well, dude, come on, will you please stop, collaborate, and listen?
Oh, here.
What? No, I love that song. You know that shit. I was on top of that fucking day one.
Listen, man, I work at an ice rink now. I deep fry chicken nuggets, man. I'll get you a deal on a barbecue sauce packet.
Fucking A, buddy. Both of us. Sucks. Broke. Who'd have thought this would happen to us? Maybe I should call your mother. She'll give me the money, I know that.
What?
What?
Yeah, and I really dug that, whole, like, Adam Sandler as Donnie Berger is a celebrity, a huge celebrity, like we were saying, because he's friends with Vanilla Ice, and then we even get none of them are in it, but we get that little bit where Randall Morgan's like, oh, I'm doing a retrospect on Milli Vanilli, and he's like, Fab, I'm friends with that dude, put me on right after him.
Exactly. The fact that he's a has-been. He's like friends with all the other like 90s has-beens.
It's great. It's such a good setup, and it gives you like it's another layer of density to these jokes that there's some that you actually have to either know something about or look into to get them, along with the surface level like raunchy and non-PC stuff.
But the whole thing with like Vanilla Ice is that like that's another reference that if you know anything, it's kind of like the equivalent of what happened with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Like the Vanilla Ice Suge Knight thing, if you know anything about the music industry, you've heard that story to some capacity.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing. And it's like, again, if you're going to do a reference, it's got to be something monumental that everybody's kind of low-key aware of, but not so ubiquitous. It's like, oh, I can see that coming.
Yeah, 100%.
But even how that like sequence goes on, like at that point too, we're established that Vanilla Ice works at ice rink selling chicken nuggets.
Oh yes, and later on we get the great Todd Bridges cameo that he's also working at the fast food place with Vanilla Ice.
Oh yeah, and then even how that sequence ends, where we have like Donnie's like, maybe I should call your mother. She'll give me the money. I know that. And we should say that like Vanilla Ice just charges him and they like break a coffee table, and the whole time Donnie's like, "Hey dude, I didn't just spill my beer."
That's awesome.
And the whole time, like this entire movie, all Donnie's character does is just pull beers out of different pockets and just pop the lid off them.
It is 100% the extension of Chevy Chase and the cigars in Nothing But Trouble. Do you remember that? Where Chevy Chase would constantly be pulling out cigars in random situations when they were like running around the mansion house of Dan Aykroyd? This is like that to the max, but with beer.
Is. Well, it's every chance. Like and the weird thing is like they always highlight it, but they never make it the center of attention.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
He's always doing that, even at points where you kind of forget about it. And I know after a while they kind of run that gag into the ground because I know he's like sneaking around the hotel, like outside on like the window ledge, and he pulls one out of his sock and like cracks the cap off. That it's like okay, we get it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still funny because even at one point too, that like he has a bottle opener on his belt buckle.
Yep, yeah.
But then like okay, so he pitches the idea to the not Jerry Springer character about like having a reunion like live from a women's prison, and Randall Morgan's like, a women's prison, very sexy. And then the whole time Donnie's just staring at him, and we have the makeup artist that's applying makeup to him is like bent over in front of him. He's staring at the makeup artist's ass, and Donnie turns around, goes, you can eat that ass after I leave the room. I just need an answer now,
Yeah.
And I was like, it's just like one of those small things that like that would be overlooked. The fact that like giving Randall Morgan, this character that's not really important to the story, any sort of direct way, you're giving him his own moment.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
And again, everybody in this movie's awful.
Oh,
that's the point.
Yeah.
Everybody,
whether or not you know at the start that at the end you know that everybody's awful. Yeah.
Yeah, like Donnie has a character arc because he's redeemed, and Todd's really the only character that's not out and out horrible because he's a victim of what? How do they describe it? An inappropriate a student-teacher relationship.
Yes. Oh geez. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think after that, once he knows he can get the money, he has to go find his son, right? And that's where he pops up at the villa. And I love there's right before Donnie shows up at the villa, it cuts back to, I think, what the whole family, or Todd and his boss, and then the family of the fiance, they're all like getting together to eat, and I think they're serving themselves. And Milo Ventimiglia says something like, "So Todd, how does one get into the hedgehog business?" And he goes, Andy Samberg says, "It's actually hedge fund." And Milo Ventimiglia it cuts to his face. He like turns to him. He goes, "You think you're better than me?" And it's perfect. It's so fantastic because, we have the previous scene where Chad is set up as the Marine who's like going to be hard on this dude because he's marrying his sister. But then it goes even further, and you just get the straight up, like, total blown out of proportion response of, "Oh, he corrected me. You think you're better than me?" And it's perfect. Because Andy Samberg's like, "What? No."
So, Todd, how does one get into the hedgehog business anyway?
Oh, it's actually hedge funds.
You think you're better than me? No.
Well, it's even stuff, too, is that, like, every character, and it's weird that people in... oh, God, I think the example is the Coen brothers Raising Arizona. A lot of people give that movie credit that you have, like, all these, like, bumpkins and, like, white trash characters, but they speak very, very efficiently and have all these great one-liners and quips. Mm-hmm. This film is the same thing. You do have a lot of, like, just, horrible white trash people who are just really simpletons, but they have great one-liners.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because even like when we're introduced to like them like having lunch and they're all talking Jamie's family, and we have Mr. Spiro's grandmother, and she's like for no reason just passed out at the table, and we keep cutting back between them getting food and Jamie's father looking at her as she's passed out on the table with a plate of food in front of her.
Yeah.
And she doesn't really wake up from the table until Donnie comes there and is like, "What's up?"
Yep. Oh yeah. Then we get the whole introduction where Donnie has to say, "Oh, I'm his best friend," type of thing. How did you meet? And that's always great because we get the story of where he's like, this dude drops his burrito on the train tracks, so I had to go down and save him. And then the next time we get to hear that story, it's embellished even further, where he's like, "I jump on the train tracks, instantly snaps both my legs." And they're like, "Oh my God." And he's like, "What was I thinking? It was a 25-foot drop." And it's just like, it's like they could have kept that going, but they knew when, they didn't need to play that off anymore. He wasn't going to have to tell that story any further. But it's great, it adds more to that Donnie Berger character. And the whole scene where you get the first time Han Solo Berger and Donnie Berger are alone in the room together, he's like, "You were a terrible father. You were supposed to tell me no," and all that stuff. And I forget what, he's like, Donnie Berger says something like, "Oh, I was a great father. Like, I let you eat cookie and cakes," and he's like, blah, blah, blah. "And I got you that king cobra as a pet, or I got you that pet snake."
No, okay. We got that line of dialogue. That bit about the king cobra.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Might have broken me. That might have, like, I much like, I know, like, what's it, the South Park gag? Like, you see something or hear something so funny, you might not ever be able to laugh ever again.
Yeah.
That might be legitimately the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, it's great. So what he says, he's like, "I got you that pet," and then what is he? Because Andy Samberg.
Well, I want to establish a little bit further because this is like you said, this is the first time that, like, we really get like Todd and Donnie talking to each other.
Yes.
And Todd's essentially venting all of his frustrations that he's had bottled up for like years to Donnie. And like at one point it's like, "Come on, I was the best parent ever, dude." And Todd throws like a little like container that has 2 syringes, and Donnie's like, "Oh my God, you're a junkie." He's like,
"Who
"No,
told
Donnie."
you that? I'll slap him around.
He's like, "No, Donnie, I'm a diabetic because of you." And it's like, "Because you fed me cake and ice cream for breakfast my entire life. That's what you wanted, dude." It's like, "Yeah, but you're the parent. You're supposed to tell me no." And then like, he's like, "Come on, I was a pretty wicked ass parent." And it's like, "I even got you that steak that you wanted." "Yeah, and it died when it ate your Quaalude."
Yes, that's what it was. The Quaaludes. Okay. And his follow-up is so great. He's like, "It died because it ate all your Quaaludes." And Adam Sandler just like looks at him, and he's all serious, and he goes, "Hey, That's the only time anyone's ever seen a king cobra laugh, and I'm proud of that. So that got me. That's a solid line right there.
What the fuck did I do to you to make you hate me so much? I am fucking baffled.
Maybe you don't remember, but you were basically the worst parent ever.
Me? I did everything for you, buddy, and I never gave you an ounce of shit about nothing.
You never gave me nothing.
I gave you a snake.
Yeah, and then it died after it ate all your Quaaludes.
That was the only time anybody's ever seen a king cobra laugh. And I take pride in that, so fuck you.
Oh my god, yeah, this I have no idea why that's so funny to me. I really don't. It's weird that as I was watching it today, I completely forgot. I guess the weird thing too is I forget this movie I guess intentionally I forget it because I want to re-experience it every time. And I heard that, and I actually was laughing so hard my cat came into my room because the cat thought there was something wrong. And then again, we should point, like I said, if we haven't inserted the clip, we've inserted it now.
Mm-hmm.
And while this is all going on, it's so like razor sharp. It goes back and forth. It's like they lob the jokes at each other so quickly. It's hard to keep track of all of them because there's like in like what a 2-minute scene. There's so much going on.
Yes, yeah, a lot of story, a lot of comedy, a lot of acting. Yeah, it's dense.
It is, and like I know a lot of people. While I was listening to a lot of people made the remarks like, "Oh, this film ruined Andy Samberg's like film career." We should say that Andy Samberg's ruined his own film career between like all of his Lonely Island stuff. I don't know if we'll ever discuss it on here, but there's Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping, where like Andy Samberg literally signs someone's dick. That literally happens in that movie. To blame That's My Boy on Andy Samberg's lack of a feature film career, I don't think is fair.
Mm-hmm.
But like, he's another one too. That like, say what you will about Andy Samberg, I'm not thrilled with him as the NBC comedy guy, but he's fantastic in this. He knows exactly the role he's supposed to be playing and never tries to go outside those bounds.
Yeah, exactly.
He's clearly the straight man in this.
Mm-hmm.
And I know after a while, like a lot of actors don't like being that when everybody else, like when they're constantly being the punchline for everybody else's jokes. So they have to feel they have to like do something grandiose to take some of that like heat off of them. But he never does that. He's just the pincushion for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is that like there's no bad performance in this movie?
Yeah, I would agree. My next note after the King Cobra line is just one word. There's a lot of S's in it. What's up?
What's up?
When that scene happens, because I think Donnie. Or Andy Samberg gets Donnie to wear a tie, and he's like, "I'm not going to sell out." And he's like, "I'll give you $100. Where's the tie?" And then they're at like the gathering or whatever, and Andy and the fiance are talking to the boss, and then Donnie makes his way over, and he says, "What's up?" to the boss, and Tony Orlando's like, "Is that back? Because I really want that to be back."
And everybody does it. Like we get Jamie's parents. We get the orchestra does it. The Asian help does it, and the grandma does it. And then after like the beat is gone, Todd does it like in the most half-hearted way possible. And the grandma turns around and goes, "Boo! That was bad, Todd."
Donnie, this is Steve Spiro, Todd's boss.
Well, yeah!
Is that back? Because I've been dying for that to come back.
What's up? My boy, look at him. He ain't a tight ass. What's up?
What's up?
No! That was terrible, Todd.
Yeah, they do it like the whole. If I remember correctly, that was a Budweiser commercial back in the day, and that was what they would do with the commercial. They would just cut to all the different people screaming "What's up?" and that's what they do in the movie. And it's like, okay, great little throwback.
It's a throwback that, once again, everybody will recognize, but Family Guy hasn't ruined it yet.
Yeah, yep.
And it's one of those things that it makes sense because somebody like Donnie that was around during that time, that would have been a huge thing for him.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. 100%.
Because there's the time period of when he thrived. So it's like, there you go. Like, it makes sense. It's not just a callback for the sake of a callback. It makes sense that somebody who's such like a state of arrested development for a time when they were like we see in the beginning of the credits where we see like he's hanging out with the two Coreys.
Yeah.
He's on David Letterman. He's on the Arsenio Hall show. It makes sense that someone like him would sit there, be ingrained in pop culture of 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, definitely.
But even how, like, before he comes over to the boss, where, like, Andy Samberg's talking to the boss, and Donnie's about to approach, he's like, no, and then, like, Adam Sandler, like, backs up. And that happens, like, what, 1 or 2 times?
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, like, somebody waves Donnie over, and he's like, oh, I'm not here. And he just slowly crouches behind a bush.
Yeah, yeah.
But then we have the sequence where, like you said, Donnie's explaining once again how he met Todd, and we get a further embellished story of the burrito on the railroad tracks. And what I love about both of these sequences is that everybody, the audience that Donnie's telling the story to, immediately believed that Todd was that stupid to go jump on railroad tracks for a burrito.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you just buy another burrito? Yeah. Why wouldn't you do that, Todd? And he's like, I don't know. It's definitely, one of the most unbelievable parts of that story.
I love Grandma's like, maybe he was high on the hashish.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, it's delightful.
And then that's when MacGruber shows up.
Oh yeah, good old Will Forte and Rachel Dratch.
Yes, and he's the one to recognize that it's Donnie Berger, and that is kind of so that it's not revealed that Todd is his son, but this is the point where everybody knows that it's Donnie Berger, and I do enjoy that little kind of scene where it's revealed and everybody talks about basically, once again the satirical aspect of, oh, you were so lucky, and the boss is saying like, I had a teacher that I wanted to fuck back in the day, and then we get the great like frame. It's Milo Ventimiglia on the left and the grandmother on the right. And the grandmother says something like, back in my day when you'd act up, the headmaster would hit your head with his dick. And Milo Ventimiglia just like is so excited by this. Like he doesn't have any lines, but he does very embellished, like looks over at her, like full neck turn. And then when she says the line about the dick, he like looks back at the camera and he mouths the word whoa. And he's like very excited about it. And it's great.
Well, like even prior to like, because that is the crescendo of that sequence, because everybody's talking about how they want to have sex with their teachers. Like Will Forte is like, oh, I wanted to have sex with my geometry teacher, but I didn't know how to do it. And then Tony Orlando's like, oh, my 8th grade biology teacher, I wanted to bang her. I used to have dreams of dissecting her with my penis. And he's like, well, all the weird stuff that happens to your head when you go through puberty. Then Jamie's father's like, I stole my middle school librarian's glasses and I masturbated while wearing them. And then Grandma goes, in my day when I got into trouble, the headmaster would slap your hand with his dick. And you're like you said, and then like Todd just gets up, and this all happens in the span of a couple of seconds, and he just gets up and goes, she wins, and we cut to the next scene.
Not to toot my own horn, but I got kind of close once. Mrs. Weiss, freshman geometry. And I think she would have done it too. I just didn't know how to make the move.
You know what? I would have killed to bang my 8th grade biology teacher, Mrs. Khan. I used to dream of dissecting her with my penis. It's so weird what goes on upstairs when you hit puberty.
I actually stole my middle school librarian's glasses to wear while I masturbated. What is that about?
In my day, when I got into trouble, the headmaster would slap your hand with his dick.
She wins.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's so like fast-paced and just edited. It's like this movie is brilliantly edited too. Like you never lose track of anything because it's just bing, bang, bang, boom, and it's perfect. Like I don't know how you can't appreciate this film on so many layers. Because even after this, we get the sequence where Will Forte is talking about how he met Todd, and we have Todd doing the gimmick of he can do any sort of like difficult math calculation, or he can do what? Multiplication in his head. Yeah. And he does the beep, beep, boop, 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 and he does all that. And at this point, Donnie actually outdoes him. And he's like, nope, 450, not 451. And he's like, and Donnie's like, this motherfucker forgot about leap year.
Yep.
And we have the moment, which is actually some pretty clever character development in depth. He's like, where do you think you got it from? I'm a whiz kid and your mother was a math teacher. It makes sense. Like, okay. And that's the thing too, is that like that's the only weird thing about this movie is that like Donnie comes across as a very crafty person.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So other than just being like a has-been, I think it would make maybe because there are deleted scenes for this that I watched on the DVD.
Okay.
It's weird that like I think it would maybe have given Donnie a little bit more pathos if instead of making him kind of like a washed up has-been, you just make him somebody that like nobody wants to associate with anymore. Or not not even that, because like even when he's at like the summer house, he's the cult of personality.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And he seems really crafty and intelligent. Yet he hasn't made a buck in the last 20 years?
Yeah, and he hasn't paid taxes.
And he's driving a late 80s Trans Am or like a Corvette.
Yeah.
With a Rush like decal that's clearly faded and like falling off.
Oh yeah. And he's carrying his clothes and beer around in a garbage bag.
Yep. Is that Louis Vuitton? No, it's a hefty bag. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like you could have done a little bit more with Donnie, like in the beginning. Like, yes, I love the Rex Ryan stuff, but to maybe because in the deleted scenes they have him and he's working as a hot tub salesman.
Oh, okay.
And it's like a 5-minute long sequence, and I'm glad they cut it because it goes nowhere. And he gets fired from that job, but it's like he seems like an intelligent individual.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know. I don't know what you would have done though, but maybe something that maybe instead of make him like kind of like he just kind of fell out of favor, or people just kind of look at him the wrong way, but then that would ruin the cult of like personality aspect of him.
Yeah. That's an interesting take, because something that I really liked about it was, he never seemed like he does a lot of this stupid stuff. But it's not like he's stupid. He just has this kind of convoluted sense of humor. Like the thing that stands out to me is that even though he's always, I guess making fun of Todd or Han Solo, his son, to some extent, he's always on his side. Like it's 100% like he's there for his son type of thing. And you never forget that. Even though it might be, he makes fun of him, it's all in good taste, because when stuff starts to get bad for Todd, Donnie Berger's the one there to help him out of it. In like all the wrestling scene with Chad, the James Caan is the priest, and then the whole ending of the movie. And it's like, it's great to see that it's not just, we're fitting in jokes that we thought of, we're going to do it any way possible. It's like the character actually came first, and that works.
Yeah. Like that's the thing that's odd though, is that like they, in the marketing, and you kind of think going into this, like, like he's playing like a horrible human being, and he is obnoxious, but he has a heart of gold. Which is also a little disconnected from him. Like we see him as the 13-year-old who's just like sex obsessed. So I don't know. It's one of those things where you could have maybe used some, because I know we get the Donnie Berger like TV movie of the week.
Oh yeah, with Ian Ziering and Alan Thicke.
Yeah, and we get that. And the weird thing though is in the deleted scenes they actually shot that. It's like a 6 or 7 minute long sequence.
Oh, right on.
And we only get it like on a TV in the background in like one scene, and that could have, because that definitely adds a little bit more, because they do flesh out the fact that like the day Donnie turned 18, his father left and just dumped Han Solo, and this kind of been like, okay, it's your problem now. And that definitely adds to it. But one thing I do want to point out about the deleted scene is that after the father leaves, Donnie's comforting Han Solo, and the kid is looking through a magazine, and the magazine is completely blank. It's green. It's all green sheets of paper with tracking dots. And I'm like, why couldn't they just find a magazine from the year this is supposed to be taking place in?
Yeah, exactly.
Why did they feel the need to have to? They didn't do it because obviously it's not in the final film.
Yeah.
But why couldn't they just have a magazine? I would imagine you go on eBay and type in magazine from 1980, whenever.
Yeah, exactly.
And you could easily get something like a prop for like $5. Why would you use special effects or something like that?
Yeah, that is strange.
But like, yes, that's the thing though. It's like Donnie never seems like, the moment he's reconnects with Han Solo or Todd, he kind of almost forgets about his money problems until Todd says, "Oh, I'm going to the prison to see Mom."
Yeah, and that's what I was saying before, where kind of like there's the beginning and the end that revolve around that, the money stuff, but then everything else is just about him getting back in the good graces of his son, and that really works as the premise for this movie, or maybe premise for this comedy.
Yeah, because even like one of the few times we're reintroduced to that plot of the money is that he's in the jacuzzi with all the women. And I love how they're all just like these gorgeous women in like the tightest bikinis possible. And he gets a phone call from Lunel telling him like, oh, the Donnie Burger story's on. He's like, oh, hold on a second. He gets out of the jacuzzi and he's telling the girls, hold my cigar. Oh, here, you can wear my sunglasses. In one of the more genuinely inexplicable moments in this movie, he gets out of the hot tub. And I can't tell if he has a raging hard-on or just that he has a very large member.
I took it as that he was hung for sure. Okay. But I guess it could be either way. They both reveal the same thing, I guess.
And I love that all these gorgeous, like 20-something-year-old women are just 100% enamored with him.
Yeah.
They're all just blown away by him. I find that like that's the part that's the disconnect for me. I know I'm analyzing this in a way that nobody ever intended it to be analyzed, but it's like he's a has-been like 80s celebrity, yet all these women that clearly weren't alive when this happened are just fascinated by him.
Yep. Yeah.
Like the idea that like, not to fast forward too far ahead, but he has literally a jacuzzi filled with gorgeous women. And yet he's utterly, oh God, smitten with the grandma.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, that whole scene, I dig it for what it is, but like, that scene is to remind, Adam Sandler and the audience of the whole money plot of the movie. And I'm just like, we don't need that. It seems like it's out of place. Like, if anything, it should have come a little later because it seems like it's like, 15 minutes into it or something like that.
Yeah. Actually, I'm looking at it now. It's 40 minutes into the film.
Okay.
But like even like how that like scene ends, when it kind of ends out of nowhere, is that Lunel opens up her locker at the strip club and Kenny's in there going through her purse with money. And he says the line, she goes, Kenny, what are you doing? He goes, I thought this was the bathroom. F you. And he grabs her boobs and goes, honk. And she goes, oh, nobody squeezes my titties for free, honey.
Yeah.
Kenny, what the fuck?
I thought this was a bathroom. Fuck you!
Oh, and nobody squeezes my titty for free, honey.
Oh my God, yeah. Like that's good. I love that. Absolutely love that. And then after that, we get the moment where Todd, Han Solo's taking a shower in a bathing suit because he has body issues because of how overweight he was, and also because when he was younger, Donnie made him get a tattoo of New Kids on the Block on his back.
Yeah.
And Donnie's utterly fascinated by how just disproportionate their heads are to the rest of his body.
Yep. And then he shows off his own tattoo of tattoo. The plane. Now that's a tattoo with tattoo. I thought it was funny.
The plane.
Yeah, I remember it. I still don't know who that is.
It's fucking the plane guy from Fantasy Island. Tattoo. I got a tattoo. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that's good. I love that. Then what we have they start tickling each other, and Chad comes out and it's like, oh man, he's like, what's going on here? And it's like I take on whoever won, and I love how Donnie has him pinned once again with his junk in Todd's face, and Todd's like, "Why is your dick kind of hard?"
Yeah,
and even though he has Todd pinned, it's like Todd's the winner. And this is once again another reoccurring joke: is that Chad gets Todd in a headlock almost immediately, and he's like, you like having your dirty booger fingers in my sister? And Todd's like, what? As he's being choked out, it's like, I'm gonna skull fuck. And Donnie just bashes him across the head with the beer bottle.
Yeah, and doesn't he say something? He's like, that was getting too real or something like that. And even before that, once again, Milo Ventimiglia is just fantastic in this because he shows up and he's like, oh, what are you homos doing? And he's like, we're just wrestling. And he's already shirtless. Chad is already shirtless. And then when he sees, he's like, okay, I got winner. He takes his pants off, so he's only in tighty whities. And when he's getting ready to wrestle Andy Samberg, he opens his underwear and looks down. And he goes, oh, you don't like him? We don't like you. And he starts hitting himself in the junk to psych himself up, and it's like, oh, it's just fantastic.
It's that absurdism.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Why is your dick in my face, and why is it kind of hard?
What are you two homos doing?
Just wrestling.
All right, because you're looking at an all-state fucking wrestling champion, and I got the winner.
Okay, well, he won.
No, I didn't.
You did.
No.
You won.
What? No, I didn't.
Yeah, you're gonna love it, buddy. Yeah, Chad.
No, it's actually a funny story. We were having a tickle fight. We weren't wrestling at all. I was losing, admittedly.
Oh, God, I gotta Chad doing some crunches or something. Look at this.
Oh, you don't like him? Oh, we don't like you.
Oh, he's talking to his dick, but...
Oh, he's hitting it. Oh, why?
Oh, you gotta puff that fucker up.
Oh, what? No, you don't have to puff that fucker up.
Let's do this.
And I love how even, like, Donnie turns around and is like, oh boy, he's yelling at his dick. Because like that real-time commentary of like the audience is reacting the same way the characters are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, we have the moment with James Caan as the priest. And even though it's fun to see James Caan, I don't have much to say.
My question for you was, I'm still unclear, since I've only seen it, I guess, 2 times. Why does Todd backtalk the priest? Like, why? That seems to come out of nowhere for me. Because, the priest is like, you're not going to talk ill about your dead father if you liked him or not in the house of the Lord. And then Todd is like, I'm sorry, I can't hear you over your shit breath or something like that. And it's like, why does Todd, it's the only time it really happens, but Todd feels to get like adversarial with the priest.
I think that's meant to...
Spelled out anymore?
No, how I've interpreted that over the years is that Donnie's kind of like trying, I think about it, we have the moment in the shower after Jamie like tears Todd a new one because of the flowers or something about the wedding. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the idea that like Donnie's trying to like, he's trying to help his son like grow a backbone. It's you don't have to be these people as just like doormat. And this is an example, like, you don't know who this guy is. This guy's telling you how to live your life despite the fact that who the hell is he? And that's what it is. Then obviously the whole thing is that like Todd stands up for himself and he gets the crap kicked out of him, and he gets beat up and he gets blamed for it. Yes.
Before we move too far from it, you mentioned it, how Adam Sandler is into the old grandma, but after the wrestling with Chad and like Donnie's getting ready to go to bed, he's trying to find something to masturbate to, and he ends up masturbating to the picture of the grandmother. But before that, he's looking through magazines and he comes to a picture of Hillary Clinton, and he says something like, oh God, he's like, I would masturbate to you, but I've partied with your husband so many times to be disrespectful.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and then we get the priest fight, and my note on on that was, what is this priest fight? It just seems so strange. But I love that when Andy Samberg gets the blame for it afterwards, and they're in the parking lot, and the whole family's kind of yelling at him at once. Milo Ventimiglia starts barking at him, like just like right in his face.
What is the matter with you?
You know, we've known Father McNally for 30 years. 30 years! I'll rip off your head!
I'm sorry.
And yeah, it's like it's absurd. It's genuinely absurd at times.
Oh
and
yeah,
that's part of its brilliance.
Oh yeah, the Chad character is just so fantastic, I think, in this movie.
It is, because I guess I can't think of another character like that in any sort of mainstream comedy like this.
Yeah, definitely. Especially one played by, someone we know now is like Mr. Serious, I would say.
Yeah. And then even like after the priest fight is over, Donnie has to explain to the rest of the people like, oh, why Todd is freaked out by like churches and the whole thing with the father. And it's this elaborate story, much like the burrito story, about how Todd's father in the casket, like a squirrel got in there and like ripped his nuts off and like ran out of there. So anytime Todd sees a church, it freaks him out.
Yeah, it's the whole story, it goes along with the Donnie character telling these convoluted stories, but he's like, what, after the explosion there was just a little bit of scalp and nutsack left, and it was supposed to be a closed casket, but there was a mix-up, so Donnie had to Todd had to watch as a squirrel came and got in the coffin and ran off with his father's nutsack. That'll screw anyone up. And everybody's like, yeah, we get it.
Well, even like they're talking, like after Donnie tells his story, they're asking like, oh, so you knew Todd's father? And he's like, yeah, he went down on girls for a wicked long time because he liked to make other people happy. and Jamie's mother's like, I wish I could have met him.
Yep. Yeah.
And Will Forte is like, sounds like a true gentleman to me. It's bonkers. Like there's so much going on, and this movie never slows down.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
And that's the thing is that, like, if you're not on board with this movie, I could see where it would become overwhelming. Because it's like, okay, you either buckle up and you're all on for the ride, or it's like, sorry, we left you at the first station.
Yeah, exactly. This is definitely one of those movies that, you got to move with it and be on board immediately. Otherwise, it's not going to work for you.
Yeah. Because then even after that, they're like, oh, like, because now that Father McNally's in trouble, or no longer, they can't have the wedding at the church anymore. It's like, so where are we going to sit there, have this funeral? And Will Forte like turns around. He's like, I'm pretty tied to the church crowd, Rageaholics Anonymous and whatnot. I can find a priest for you. I mean, what type of priest are you looking for? And they're like, oh, I don't know, maybe somebody younger. How about a black guy? Now I like that. It's very urban, very street.
Yes, and that's a great setup because we do get Father Shikalu later on, who is also in Grandma's Boy.
You guys say Dr. Shakalu. Because I have a very specific story about that movie, but we'll get to that. Because I've known about Dr. Shakalu before this movie and Dante. I love Dante as a character, but we'll get to them toward the end because that's what they really have their moment to shine.
Yeah, but they are set up. I really like that they're set up in a way that you don't realize until they actually appear. Because Tony Orlando's like, my damn son. He's a ski instructor and all he does is smoke weed.
Yep. And who would have thought, like, anybody, I remember watching this the first time being like, I can remember seeing, I think they showed Dr. Shakalu first. Then they showed Dante. And I'm like, oh, like, that's just, I forget the actor's name, but I'm like, oh, he's part of, like, Adam Sandler's regulars. He's like Kevin Nealon, Nick Swartzen, like, not Chris Rock or David Spade level, but like next tier down. And I'm like, oh, he's just here because it was an easy paycheck. And then like he starts talking to Tony Orlando and he's doing the Dante voice. I'm not so much of a screw. I can't do the voice, but it's like, am I now, Dad?
Oh,
and then Dr. Shakalu has possibly my favorite quote of all time in the movie.
Oh yeah,
greatest. And that's one where, okay, we'll get to that. So they decide to have the wedding at Tony Orlando, the boss's like summer home. And I love like Donnie's helping Jamie's mother like decorate or just like coordinate stuff. And she's like, oh, Donnie, what a brilliant idea. And he's like, yeah, I know. He's like, you know what? Maybe a little more girly shit up on the arch. And I love how the mother turns around. She's like, you're right. Excuse me, sir. Put some more girly shit up there.
Yep.
Love it.
Oh, Donnie, this was just such a great idea. Don't you love the pergola?
Yeah, gorgeous. You know what? Maybe a little more girly shit up on the arch.
Oh, you're right. Excuse me, sir. Put some more girly shit up there.
Everybody's just along for the ride with him. Yeah, it works.
And I do want to say, not to skip too far ahead, but for the Cinemoddities restaurant, I think we need some girly shit.
we're probably lacking on that.
Yeah,
I think that's definitely safe to say. Yeah.
Beyond just the arch, we need some more girly shit up there.
Okay, I like that.
All right. So after this sequence happens, we have the bachelor party.
Yep. Yeah. And so we get it in a few phases, but the first phase is the spa that Will Forte sets up for them.
Yep. And I love that the name of the spa is like He Time Spa, and the person who's in charge is like, oh, welcome to the Hitema Spa.
Yeah.
And I'm like even that is like, that's clever. That's like in a movie that's so over the top. It's such a subtle joke.
Yeah, absolutely. Donnie thinks they're in for a raunchy night, but it's just a legit spa. And then we get the great scene of how he's trying to coerce a happy ending from the masseuse. and the bait and switch. I guess not really bait and switch, but the cutaway to reveal that he's in the same room as all the other guys. And Andy Samberg's like, Donnie, are you just going to get a hand job in front of all of us? And he goes, I don't know. Am I? And he looks at the masseuse.
And she's like, mm-mm. He's like, I guess not.
That's nice. Yeah, good. This is great, sweetheart. Really good. Nice work. You're going deep on us, huh? That's it.
What's this, sir?
Well, that's just a little tip, if you give me the full package.
Oh, okay. That's a $150 additional charge.
You're talking the wrong guy. It's a little out of my price range.
It includes scalp treatment, reflexology.
How much is it to tickle my pickle? To yank my crank? To give me a hojo to go? Sweetheart, I'm not asking for a finger up the ass. I just want you to just jerk it a little bit.
Donnie, this isn't a brothel.
Then I'm completely confused what the fuck we're doing here right now.
So what, you're just gonna get a hand job in front of all of us?
I don't know, am I? I guess not!
And even prior to that, like we have the thing where they walk in and they're all given like glasses of something, and he takes a sip of it, spits it out, and it's like it tastes like fucking dick infused with balls.
Oh
and a
yeah,
side of fucking Rod Stewart's
that line.
jizz.
He's like, what is this? She's like, it's water infused with cucumber, rose petals, and sandalwood. Tastes like water infused with dick and balls.
And then we get, as that scene wraps up, as they're all being like led away, he turns around to the one of the women who work there with the water tray and go like, and just out of nowhere, just turns around to her as everybody's left the scene, goes, "You got to show my son your tits later. Promise me. Promise me."
Yeah, and she looks so awkward. Oh, it's played perfectly. Like that screams to me as like great. Like I don't know for sure, but it seems like it's Adam Sandler like ad-libbing in character, and it works. It fits. Like we were saying, it's a complete character.
What the fuck is this?
It's water infused with cucumber, rose petal, and harvest sandalwood.
It tastes like fucking dick infused with balls. And a side of fucking Rod Stewart's jizz. Oh, wait a minute. What are we drinking water at a fucking bachelor party for, Phil? You gotta show my son your tits later. Promise me. Promise me.
It just comes out of nowhere. I wish I could. I think I've kind of explained why I like this movie, but there's certain moments like that, and with like the Cobra with the Quaaludes, where like I just don't know why it's so funny.
Yeah,
I just don't know why. Because even like we have like even prior to the moment Rob set up with the masseuse and he's trying to get a hand job, he has a $5 bill tucked into like his towel around his waist.
Yeah.
And he's like, how much for like the bonus package? She's like, it's an additional $150 for this, and that. He's like, it's kind of at my price range. It's like, if you know what I mean. And she's like, I don't know what you mean, sir. You know, to yank my crank, to give me a hojo to go.
Yeah.
And then like Rob said, we cut to the part where it's all the other men in the room, and Todd's like, Donnie, this isn't a brothel. He's like, then what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And then he starts chewing out Will Forte, and Will Forte gets up and has a cock sock on.
Yeah.
That's when I don't get that. That's when where I'm like, it's funny. I just don't get it.
Sure. Yeah, and I feel like this everything we've been saying, it's like, this is what gets a lot of some of the most, maybe not most because the statutory rape does, but a lot of the complaints that people have with this movie is like it's, pathetic or lowbrow humor. But once again, it fits in perfectly. Like Donnie is a man-child. He's in Arrested Development because like his whole life happened to him when he was younger than 18. So of course he's going to act like this. Of course he's going to say the stupid thing like, tastes like it's infused with dick and balls. Like that's so lowbrow, but that's what his character would do.
Great.
Yeah, people they didn't give this movie a chance, like I think we've been saying.
Okay. And then like we continue the rest of like the man spa thing, and we cut like the camera tracks down everybody getting their pedicures. They have like facial scrub on and the cucumbers over their eyes, and we go down the line till we get to Donnie, and he's literally just sitting there giving the male masseuse that's supposed to be doing like massaging him, and he's just giving him the finger.
Yeah.
And then the male masseuse is just like staring at him and just like what am I supposed to do? And then Donnie just leans over and he's like, you know what? If I don't see a tit in 5 minutes, I'm going to strangle this motherfucker.
Yeah,
You should be ashamed of yourself for arranging this.
Yeah, and that's really our transition into the second phase of the bachelor party, which is back at Bacon and Legs.
Mm-hmm. But even like, okay, just to continue this scene a little bit longer, is like we have the person who's in charge come out, and the whole time he's like, and Donnie continues on this like rant about how like this isn't a bachelor party, and like this is the worst thing. Like you guys have to do something about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like you guys have like leprechaun shit all over your face,
Yeah.
and it's like we could be getting we could be getting whacked off right now as a team, and everybody's like, I could get on board with this. And I think at one point Tony Orlando's like turning around, it's like, we gonna get I think it's Jamie's father's like, we gonna get our dick sucked.
Yeah, something like that.
And then, oh God, I forget what happens. Like right here, Adam Sandler starts talking to the head masseuse again. He's like, unless Mrs. Ravensdale wants to whip him out, would love to see them. And she's like, you're an imbecilic, immature, asinine, childish, caveman-like, hairy knuckle, single chromosomal, obnoxious, uneducated, ignorant asshole who I'd like to fuck hard and long. And there's like a pause, and Donnie turns around, and I love this as a euphemism for sex.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to put a dent in that.
You guys get cleaned up. I'll meet you in 30 or something like that.
I love that. This movie has such a razor sharp wit.
The timing is on point.
Unless Mrs. Ravensdale, you want to whip them knockers out, we'd love to see them.
All right, you know what? You are an imbecilic, immature, asinine, childish, caveman-like, hairy knuckle, single chromosomal, obnoxious, uneducated, ignorant asshole who I would like to fuck hard and long.
So I'm gonna go put a dent in that. You guys get that green jizz off your face. I'll be back in 20.
So yes, but like Rob said, this is where the film transitions into the true bachelor party.
Yeah, we got a good old party montage type of thing. They're all having debauchery and whatnot, and I don't think I have much to say about this until the third phase of the bachelor party, where it's just Todd and Donnie, and they have to go get Vanilla Ice.
But even during this whole like second phase of the bachelor party, I love how like Will Forte is explaining to Lunel that like I've only seen 3 vaginas in my life: my wife's, my daughter's, and my aunt's, who was an unfortunate incident on a tandem bicycle. And Lunel just like lifts up her like legs. She's like, now you've seen 4, baby. And he's like, whoa, I think maybe it's 4 and 5 after seeing that. It's But yes, we get the dance number, or not, the musical montage, and we see all the absurd stuff. We see Todd connecting with Lunel's daughter, Bree. We have a bunch of stuff. Like we see, like at one point, I guess Lunel has a tennis ball in her hoo-ha. She does something with her legs, and Kenny catches it. Yeah, like that's that's the stuff that's the raunchy with a capital R.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
But even I love the like, oh God, the DJ at the club, and like I love how just, okay, what would be the right word for it? Just so a void of like charisma, and it's like this musical number goes out to Todd Bridges.
Yeah, very monotone.
Yeah, thank you, monotone. And yeah, I want that person. If we're gonna have, I think if we're gonna have like a maitre d' at the Cinemoddities restaurant, I want the DJ at Bacon and Legs.
Champ Hale would like to dedicate this to Mr. Todd Peterson.
Oh, okay. That's I can get behind that. I think we might have some competition if we ever get to the Goods, because DJ Request, played by Craig Robinson from the Goods, is also one of my favorite characters ever, because his name is DJ Request, and he gets angry every time someone requests a song from him, and he does like an inner monologue where he's like, "They will try to break you, DJ, but you must stand strong."
Hey, DJ, this place is about to pop. Why don't you throw on some Charlie Daniels?
Good call.
Nobody tells DJ Request what to play. Let them tell you what to play. They lose respect for you. They lose respect for you. You lose control. Not today. All right.
All right, as phase 2 of the bachelor party ends, Donnie sends everybody else home. Him and Todd kind of do their own thing. He gives Todd the earring that Mrs. McGarrigle gave him by literally piercing his ear in the parking lot of Bacon and Legs. In the most kind of like oddly horrific scene in the movie. And as that like scene wraps up, we see Will Forte getting a blowjob from the stripper with the headgear.
Yep.
and he's crying. He's like, what am I doing? How am I going to do this? And the stripper pulls away from him. He's like, don't stop.
Yeah. Oh,
I love it. I love it. Okay, after that, I love how, like, after Donnie gives him the earring, he's like, yo, man, it's so cool. You look like the drummer from Foreigner.
Yep.
And then they go to the ice rink where we see Vanilla Ice, who is serving chicken nuggets.
Yep. They Todd has the realization that his Uncle Vanny during his childhood was just Vanilla Ice.
Who else that guy with I just thought you were a guy who liked to wear parachute pants.
Yeah. And then they Adam Sandler and Vanilla Ice make up with each other because he says he's sorry and it won't happen again. He's like, that's all I wanted to hear, dog. And then they're gonna leave. They're like, you want to come party with us, Ice? And he goes, yeah. He's like, I'm way ahead of you. He pulls out a bong from behind the counter. But as they're leaving, we get the great Todd Bridges cameo as someone else who's working at the concession stand who says something like, Vanilla Ice, where you going? You got to fry these chicken nuggets. I don't know how to fry chicken nuggets.
But I love how even that's set up prior. Like, after that happens, or I'm sorry, prior to that, we have the thing where it's like Donnie, you want to hit? He's like, I can't do that in front of my son. Turn around. Around. He doesn't hit off the bong and then gives it back to Vanilla Ice. And like you said, Vanilla Ice like hops over the thing. Todd Bridges is like freaking out, and somebody comes up to Todd. Like, this is what I mean. The scene lingers. It doesn't just like any other movie would cut away at that moment of Todd Bridges throwing his hands up into the air, and we'd be moving on to the ice rink scene. But no. We have somebody come. We have two random patrons come be like, "Hi, can we have something?" And Todd Bridges is like, "We don't have those. Get out of here, man." He turns around.
Yeah, because he's like, we don't. He's like, do you see that on the menu? And he turns around. And he goes, oh shit, it is on the menu. That's fantastic. That's a great little beat. That it's so unnecessary in terms of the movie, but it's perfect comedic timing, and it's the cherry on top of that great scene already.
Hey, what do you think you want, Mr. Vanilla Ice Cream? I'm going out for the night, man.
Oh, hell no, man. You know I don't know how to fry no damn chicken nuggets.
It's Todd Bridges. Yeah.
What's
this? What you talking about, Willis?
You come back and say it to my face, you fake white rapping motherfucker.
God, seriously, though, you look great. How's Mr. Drummond doing?
Mr. Fuck you! Mr. Drummond, Mr. Can I... What you want?
Roll chili nuggets?
A what? You know, this shit ain't on the menu, man. Shit, it is. Damn.
It's a perfect flourish.
Yes. Oh yeah.
That's delightful. It's absolutely delightful.
That's that I didn't have it written down, but now that I'm thinking about it, that is exactly how we want some of our wait staff to respond. You know, do you see that shit on the menu? Oh, it is on the menu.
Do you
That's
know
new to me?
Do you know what the item the guy's ordering is?
It sounded like chicken something. I don't think it's chicken nuggets, but I couldn't really make it out either.
I have the subtitles, and this is what it is.
Okay.
And I think this is gonna be at least one snack.
Oh, right on.
The person wants to order chili nuggets.
Chili nuggets. Ooh, I'm intrigued.
I know that's kind of like cheese on a stick during Charlie's Angels Full Throttle. It's like, it sounds obvious, but when you think about it, it's like, what?
Yeah, I'm gonna. My first guess is that it's chicken nuggets with chili put on top of them, like chili fries.
Sure,
but then you could also have like, I don't know, chili baked into or deep fried into something like a nugget. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay, I like it.
But yes, at this point we have Vanilla Ice, Todd, and Donnie doing their thing. They're at an ice rink. They steal a woman's hat, and they just kind of play keep away with it for some reason.
Yep.
Yeah, we have things like that and then they get chased out of the ice rink. We then cut to a couple shots of Todd Bridges getting high on the ice rink with the same bong that Vanilla Ice was using. And then I love how they're running out of the ice rink. We're still wearing the skates, and everybody else that's chasing them just collapses. They then go to like a bodega as they try to chug a 6-pack of beer as the attendant sees them, pulls out a shotgun and starts shooting at them as they run away.
Yeah.
And as they're running, go ahead.
As they're leaving, he chases them out of the store with the shotgun, and we get the great scene of where it just focuses on the bodega owner, and he's like, those seem like some pretty cool guys. I want to party with them. And he proceeds to continue to party with them
for the rest of the
shotgun.
In that shot that you mentioned, we get like the shot of the bodega owner with the shotgun. He says the line.
The
if you
billboard in the background.
The Rex Ryan 1-800 Law Guy billboard.
Yeah, I guess we should say his phone number is 1-800 Law Guy.
It's like, that's what I mean though. Like in any other moment, the highlight and the focus would be on the bodega owner.
Yep.
And yet you have a gag in the background.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
It's delightful. But then like after that, they go to the bowling alley and they're just doing the thing where like they charge the lanes and they slide, and then they get chased out of the bowling alley similarly to how they got chased out of the ice rink.
Yep.
But this time the bodega owner's with them, and once again Donnie does not spill his beer when he's sliding off something.
Oh yeah. And we get like that whole montage, which slows down for the bike riding scene, right?
No, it gets better. There's even more there. Because as they're running out of the bowling place, the bodega owner is shooting his gun in the air.
Oh, yes.
And then in another part of this movie that almost killed me today that I forgot about, they're outside some diner, and they're all taking a whiz on the side of the restaurant. And I'm trying to figure out what the name of it is. I can't. It says it's something diner, but because of the font, I have a hard time figuring out what it is.
Sure.
Because it's probably a real world location.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time, they are peeing on the side of this diner while the patrons are looking out the windows, watching these guys just continue to piss. And they're all shaking their heads. And at one point, the bodega owner, I guess, starts peeing onto the windows.
Yeah, like upward onto the window. Yes.
Upwards onto the windows. And a woman starts pointing, being like cursing at him. And then the bodega owner takes his shotgun and just shoots the window where the people are.
Yeah, and everybody like ducks and runs.
I love that. And the guy, after he's done firing, everybody's running away or ducking. He just like leans backwards as Donnie just like kind of like pushes them away.
Yeah.
That's like wonder shows in level absurdism.
Oh,
you have four guys. I want everybody like this scene. Like it should be a freeze frame of the still, and I want this like as like painted on a wall in my house as a piece of art. I think about this. This is an Adam Sandler, Andy Samberg, this like broad comedy, or it's intended to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
And in this sequence, we have Andy Samberg's character being the product of a statutory rape. We have Vanilla Ice there for some reason. They're peeing on the side of a diner while a bodega owner is shooting the window where the people are gawking at them.
Yes.
This is one of those moments that like I could spend days talking about how profound and brilliant this film is on one like 15-second long sequence.
Sure. Yeah. It's
brilliant.
It is something else for sure.
It is. But then going what you were saying, Vanilla Ice and the bodega owner kind of just like sitting on the stoops. Donnie's trying to teach Todd how to ride a bike. Todd is trying, and he eventually starts like pedaling on his own. And while he's looking at Donnie, he crashes into a car. And while he's like winded, and he's like after he crashes full on into the car, and as he's trying to regain his breath, two fat people get out of the car, and they start, I'd say borderline, like morbidly obese. And the fat guy's like, "What the hell, dude? I'm trying to make love to my wife."
Yeah.
And both the fat people literally start just chasing Todd around the street.
Yes. And during this whole scene, I think it only cuts for when the crash happens. We get a fantastic edit of Tom Petty's American Girl, like for this momentous moment. And, you know, when he's able to ride the bike, like I said, it cuts for the crash and then picks back up when the chase ensues. Yep. And it's great. It's such a light touch. It's a great song. It's just the instrumental portion. And it's like a great example of how to edit a song into a movie for effect. It's fantastic.
Yep. It's clever. It really is.
All right.
Here we go.
All right. Come on. Okay. Push. I got you.
I'm not
I
good
got you.
at
All
it.
right. It's balance. It's just balance. You got this, kid. You're an athlete. You got it. No, it's in you, buddy. It's
No.
I got you. I ain't gonna let you fall.
Don't let me go.
I won't let you fall.
Don't let go.
All right, I'm still with you.
Okay.
I'm still with you. Let's pick up some speed there. I'm with you, guys. I'm with you. I'm not letting go. I'm not letting go. I'm with you, my boy. I'm with you, my boy. Yeah, that's all you. Let's do this. Yeah, baby. Oh, are you all right? Kid, are you all right, buddy?
Sorry. Dude, I'm trying to make love to my wife.
No! Fucking naked people.
I'm gonna fucking kill you.
What the fuck? Get off! Go! Go!
This film is not just comedic masterpiece; it's an editing masterpiece.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. And then they have to head back home.
Oh,
yeah.
I love how he says, "Dude, I'm trying to make love to my wife." It cuts to Adam's tail. He's like, "Fucking naked people." and the two fat people are like, "I'm gonna kill you," and Todd goes, "Oh my god, they're chasing me." And the whole time Vanilla Ice and the bodega owner are just like scattering while the naked fat man's like underwear are falling down.
Yep. Yeah, very little clothing.
I love it so much. And then after that we have another heart to heart between Donnie and Todd. And then we see Todd, we see him like fondling Jamie's dress, and we see that Jamie sees the dress has been thrown up and jizzed on.
Yeah, you puked on my dress and then fucked it?
And then because of her screaming, Donnie comes racing in with nunchucks.
Yes.
And then
and while he's wearing the grandmother's robe, because while Todd thinks that the mannequin with the dress on it is Jamie, Donnie ends up sleeping with the grandmother.
Yes. And then while Jamie continues to kind of tear both of them a new one, Vanilla Ice shows up packing heat, about to shoot somebody, and he's wearing the lower half of the grandma's bathing suit.
Yeah. And doesn't Jamie say something like, "Why is Vanilla Ice here?" And then Todd's like, "He's my other best friend."
I love it. It's
yeah, the
fabulous.
Vanilla Ice is a nice touch, playing himself for sure.
Like, this is like, if this was any other movie, like Vanilla Ice would probably get awards nominations for this, because it's such like the movie's openly mocking him most of the time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's the weird thing with this movie, is that like the movie, like there's no pulling punches about like the state of Vanilla Ice's career by the time this was being made.
Yeah, and I love that. The whole meta aspect of him in this movie is fantastic.
It is. It's delightful. And then like even toward the end, because he plays a huge role in the climax.
Oh yeah.
But I do like at the end of the sequence with the dress, Adam Sandler turns around to Todd and he's like, "You jizzed on the mannequin. Respect."
Yeah.
Then after that, we get a bunch of the stuff when it comes to Mrs. McGarrigle. Todd goes to the prison. Donnie like kind of races to stop him. Randall Morgan's there. Todd's humiliated. He craps his pants. We should mention that Todd has an extra pair of underwear that he keeps in case of emergencies, because when he was younger, he crapped his pants at like soccer practice, and Donnie wasn't there to help to pick him up, so he had to walk home with crap in his pants. But because of the events of the bachelor party, he convinces Todd to give that up. And at the prison, he craps himself while being filmed by Randall Morgan's thing.
Yep, because he gets tased. Yeah.
Yep.
I do have to say about the women's prison, inspired casting of Susan Sarandon as Andy Samberg's mother, because she was also his mother in the Mother Lover video of The Lonely Island, and the also inspired casting of young Miss McGarrigle is Susan Sarandon's daughter. It's perfect.
Oh, it really is, because that's really clever. And I think at this point, Susan Sarandon will do anything. She's been in so many trashy movies. It's kind of like, as long as the check clears, she's happy.
Sure.
But I love that, like, even when I forget the name of Susan Sarandon's daughter. I don't know her name as the actress.
Oh,
but
it
like,
is. I have it. It is insane. It is
a name.
Ava Amori Martino.
Now that's a name.
Yes.
But like even like when they cast her though, because like I don't think even like in the negative podcasts and reviews I was reading and listening to, nobody denies how pretty she is as an actress or as a person.
Yeah.
And I think that's another brilliant part of this movie. Is that, like, if you are going to cast an actress to play a teacher that commits statutory rape, you pick the most gorgeous woman you possibly could.
Sure.
So, like, you kind of not women in the audience, of course, but any man in the audience watching that is like, eh.
Yeah. And at the beginning, especially when we see her, it just adds to that, playing everything up to the maximum with that satirical aspect. Like, get someone who is that attractive. It's only going to make the message hit home even more.
One thing I do want to kind of bring up, not to like backtrack, like after they have like their first like sexual encounter, we see Donnie like riding his bicycle to her house, and he's the one bringing the wine coolers.
Oh, yep.
Why is the underage minor bringing the alcohol?
I don't know, because he has the wine coolers for her, and then he busts out Yoo-hoo for himself, right?
Exactly. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Like, she's the adult. Why wouldn't she just? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, on the Susan Sarandon, the scene with her when she's like, oh, I love you. I've always loved you, Donnie. And he's like, I've always loved you too, Mr. Garrickle. And she starts to like sexually unbutton her prison jumpsuit. There's a Hulk Hogan t-shirt underneath
I love that.
it.
I love it.
Another great little touch.
But even like after that, because that's when the movie becomes a little bit more serious. Like the jokes kind of calm down. Because I know Donnie goes to like their rehearsal dinner and confronts them because he hears Jamie having a conversation on the phone.
Yep, and he thinks that he has evidence or proof or knowledge that she's sleeping with the boss for whatever reason, because she wants money and marrying Todd and all that stuff. And this is like the low point of the relationship. Like the things have to go wrong so they can reconcile later on.
But then, like, I love how he goes back to the strip club. He's talking to Kenny, and they're watching Jamie and Todd from a distance. And Kenny's like, the only way to get to Todd is through Jamie. She's the gatekeeper. And it's like, well, how am I going to do that? Women love ice cream.
Yes. Oh, which leads the opening scene of the hotel when he walks to like the check-in desk. I absolutely love, because Adam Sandler just walks up. I guess we should preface this because we're going to have to get to it. That after the rehearsal dinner, Todd thinks he's going to go back home or wherever with his fiance, but Chad's like, no, I'm going to drive her into the city. Like, it's bad luck, blah, 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 night before the wedding or whatever. And then Todd's like, this is weird. Like, your parents don't have a car now. Like, what's going on? And so Donnie knows that she's staying at that hotel. He has to go get ice cream, and he walks into the hotel with just 2 ice cream cones. Not even like an ice cream in a carton or anything like that. Like just loose ice cream cones. He walks up to the hotel desk, and he's like, hi, my name is Todd Peterson. No, you're not. You're Donnie Berger. You're the kid that slept with your teacher. Adam Sandler just walks one person over and goes, hello, my name is Todd Peterson. Hello, Mr. Peterson. What can I do for you? And he like gets the room number. And then we get the great shot of the 2 like hotel people, and the guy who worked with Adam Sandler and his plan, he goes, if the legendary Donnie Berger comes in here using a fake name, you go with it.
Hi, I'm Todd Peterson.
No, you're not. You're Donnie Berger. You fucked your teacher in the 7th grade.
Hi, I'm Todd Peterson.
Hey, Mr. Peterson. What can I do for you?
What room was my fiance in again?
Let me check. 641.
You're a fucking stud.
Hey, when the legendary Donnie Berger comes in here using a fake name, you go with it! All right, I will!
Hold on a second, baby.
Yeah, it's delightful. It's
that
genuinely delightful.
Turn, I love that just comedic beat, like, period, of anyone going like, hello, like, I have this information. That information is wrong. Go one step over to somebody else who is still in earshot. Hello, here's the lie again. Like, that is hilarious.
It really is. It's delightful. It is.
Yeah, and so then he gets up to the hotel room. He has his ice cream still. It's not melting at all, of course. He's going to go to the room to get on the good side of Jamie. He hears sex noises from behind the door. So he sneaks out of some window. Is it from a hallway window, or is it a window in another room?
It's another room because we can see the maid's cart.
Ah, okay. And he's climbing the ledge of the hotel with the 2 ice cream cones. Like we said earlier, he pulls out a beer from his sock. This got me the first time I watched this because I thought he was going to pull out the beer and like throw it away or put it down to like make it easier to climb the ledge. But no, he uses the ledge to open it and drinks it, of course. And he gets into the room. And do you want to do this reveal, Zach? Because we had to hold it off from later. Really kind of the motivating force of the rest of the movie is who she's sleeping with.
Well, yes, because even like when he goes outside the hotel room and he hears her moaning and she's like, "You're half the size of Todd, but you know how to use it so much better."
Yeah.
Again, you don't need that, but it's perfect. It's a flourish. But yes, I've become the unofficial expert of these sort of reveals in Cinemoddities movies, whether it be That's My Boy or Elves. Adam Sandler sees that she's having sex with somebody. He deliberately puts the cones upside down on the ledge.
Yes.
And so he starts confronting like Jamie because how she's positioned in this sequence or how it's framed. We see her from the back, but we don't see who she's straddling. And she's like, "Aha, Mr. Steve Goldstein." And we see that she is having sex with her brother, Chad.
Yes. And like all 3 of them freak out simultaneously for different reasons, of course, but it's fantastic.
And I love how Adam Sandler immediately runs through all the reasons as to how it can be explained. He's like, stepbrother, adopted. Oh my God. And he starts freaking out. And it's like, you're not oh God, Jamie's like, "You don't understand." He's like, "I don't think Charlie Sheen would understand what's going on."
Yes, that was a great line for sure.
Again, and it's also a reference because, like, considering that everybody knows about Charlie Sheen's just like legendary level escapades in sexual conquest. But then I love how even Todd just gets out of the bed naked and just starts like trying to explain to Donnie. And the closer he gets, Donnie like vomits into the ice bucket.
Oh yeah, and Donnie gives the great line where he's like, "Chad, adultery is bad, but incest is fucked up."
Because Todd's explanation is this was the last time because once she gets married, we won't do this anymore.
Yes, and yeah, it is interesting because what even Jamie's like, we're attractive people. This is what attractive people do. They have sex with each other.
With each other? This is... is he your stepbrother at least, or adopted or something? No reply. So it's real. Oh my God.
Donnie, you don't understand what's going on here.
I don't think Charlie Sheen would understand what's going on here.
Look, I love Todd, and we're gonna get married, and we're gonna have a great life together. And yes, I've had sex with Chad from time to time. It's what good-looking people do. They have sex with other good-looking people, you know? Just so happens that this one particular good-looking person is my little brother.
Oh, okay. It's all making sense to me now.
I know that sounded bad, but Donnie, this was going to be the last time. I would never carry on with a married woman. I've got better morals than that, Donnie.
Chad, adultery is bad. But incest is fucked up!
Oh, please don't let him tell Mommy about our secret tickle time.
Secret tickle time? You got a name for it? Yeah!
It's something else. It's something else.
And Todd gets back into bed. He's like, "Don't let him tell Mommy about our secret tickle time."
Secret tickle time? You even have a name for it?
He's like, "You're a disgrace to that uniform." And then Jamie reveals that he's not a Marine. He just buys outfits on eBay because he doesn't want Dad to know that he's a modern jazz dancer.
Yes.
And
Which sets up some great jokes later on.
And Adam Sandler says that's possibly worse than the incest thing.
Yeah. Oh man.
Okay, and at this point, Jamie pretty much gives Adam Sandler the ultimatum that if you don't tell Todd, I'll write you a check to get you out of your IRS woes. But Adam Sandler takes a picture to blackmail them. And I love that when he snaps this impromptu picture that Todd actually does a flexing motion.
Yeah, oh God. Milo Ventimiglia is perfect in this movie. Yeah, he poses. It's so funny.
At this point, somehow you take a movie that's already at a 9 and you dial it up to a 10.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it leads into the finale perfectly, because now we know that our character Donnie is conflicted because he's gotten on good terms with his son, or he wants to be on good terms with his son, and he needs to, be free of the IRS. And, so we have that kind of, will he, won't he moment. And of course we know that there's going to be a feel good kind of come back together, but the way it plays out at the wedding is just superb.
Because even like how, like he connects with Vanilla Ice again, and I love how Vanilla Ice is like living in a rundown like motel, like a crack den.
Yeah. And apparently he's been living there for a while, because when Donnie Burger like goes up to, before he even gets to the door, aren't there people in the neighborhood that are like, "Yo, Donnie Burger, what's up?"
Yep.
It's just Vanilla Ice's residence for the past how many years, so it's great.
Vanilla Ice is another one who's like he's not a straight man in this, but he's certainly a punching bag.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the moment where they put the cassette tape in, and they go racing toward the wedding, and their car gets stuck in the sand, but they need tunes. They need to be listening to music while they stop this.
Yes.
And so Vanilla Ice has a Walkman, and they both have one earbud in as they go like running jointly toward the wedding.
Yep. And there's a little label on the cassette that says "Save My Son Mix."
Yep.
So I'm only assuming that means that before they left, they took the time to create a mixtape and label it.
Yep. It's delightful. Absolutely delightful. And then we have the wedding where all this is going on. Donnie shows up and is like, I object. You already went past that part. Well, and we have the reveal.
What are my options?
And we have the whole thing where like he threatens Jamie. He's like, "You better tell him or I'm going to tell everybody." And she like whispers into his ear, and he's like, "Well, it's not that bad." And it's like, "You better tell him." And so she whispers into his ear, and then like Andy Samberg like kind of has like a second where he's like pondering it. And he's like, "What? You're having sex with your brother?"
Yeah.
And everybody in the crowd like freaks out. And then possibly a fantastic moment in the Adam Sandler cinematic universe, we get Dr. Shockaloo, probably the most overlooked character in Grandma's Boy, turn around and say one of my favorite quotes, which I say a lot. I know I say that a couple times on this podcast. I'll say quotes, but Rob knows because Rob now has the GIF on his phone.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a delightful GIF. And Dr. Shockaloo says the quote of, "Fucking white people."
Yeah, it's a great cutaway to just him pretty much, and he's shaking his head. Oh, it's perfect.
Ah! You fuck your brother? Oh my God!
Fucking white people. I'm not looking so bad now, am I, Dad?
I think, is that also the same reveal where Dante is like, "I'm not so much of a fuck up now, Dad."
Yes. And then like it also comes out that Tony Orlando has been sleeping with Jamie, and he's like, "Todd, I've been sleeping with Jamie too, but that incest thing, I didn't know about that, and that's messed up."
Yeah. And then somewhere in there, Adam Sandler says he's like, "It's okay though, I had sex with your mother," to Tony Orlando, and then Dante's like, Vanilla Ice, he's like, "Vanilla Ice had sex with Grandma? That's awesome." And it's just perfect, because it's like these characters are not set up. You need to know them from Grandma's Boy, but it just fits in so well.
Like, who would have thought that like you need to watch an obscure stoner comedy from like 2006 to fully appreciate an Adam Sandler comedy?
I think that's another reason like why it gels so well. It comes out of nowhere, and it's perfect. It makes sense. It all like just comes together for this great conclusion.
It really does. It's because even like at the wedding, we see the bodega owner. He's there too for some reason.
That's right. That's right. Oh yeah, and then Adam Sandler knocks a bunch of people out, I think.
No, what happens is that like the wedding is ruined. Chad goes storming off. Jamie's like tries to like one final attempt to reconcile, and she's like, "Oh, your life is screwed up. My life is screwed up. Come on, Dr. Shockaloo, get up here and marry us."
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "No, like I'm better than you." And he has this moment where he's like, "I'm not Todd Peterson. I'm Han Solo Burger, Captain of the Millennium Falcon, who made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs."
Yeah.
And while he's having like this montage, and like you said, that's the moment where it's like, you know what, Mr. Spiro, Vanilla Ice and Donnie had sex with your mother. And we have that, and then like we see Jamie goes like running up with like a chair to like hit Todd, and Adam Sandler whacks her across the head with the bottle.
Yeah,
which is what he does. Which he does to pretty much everybody.
And Vanilla Ice has the fantastic line where, as his like Donnie's hype man, he goes, "Word to your mother, brother fucker."
Word to your mother, brother fucker.
And then Chad starts coming after Donnie, but he doesn't have the bottle now. And then
I love that he's checking all his pockets and everything for another beer bottle.
And then James Caan punches Chad out.
Yes, and then the last bit of Milo Ventimiglia we get to see, but James Caan knocks him out because earlier Todd told him that Chad was the one who knocked him out at the previous fight. And when Milo Ventimiglia hits the ground and as he's passing out, he does jazz hands. I love it.
Oh my God, it's delightful. It's delightful. And I think it's funny too that like Adam Sandler knocks out Jamie, and like in any other movie, the fact of the main star knocking a woman out with a beer bottle. Like just think about that. Like think about that as a thing that happens in a movie nowadays.
Oh yeah.
It's delightful. It's delightful. And then like pretty much we have our wrap up where they're all at the strip club. They have a going away party for Donnie because he's about to go to prison because he didn't get the money.
Kenny says something like, "Donnie, you're my best friend. I'm going to miss you." And we've only seen him for like 20 seconds combined in the movie.
And he's like clutching the strip pole.
Yep.
And then like they're like, okay, so you have that, and Todd's like, I'm sorry, Han Solo Burger's like, okay, like Dad, I'll give you the money, don't worry about it. And Donnie's like, nope, I made my bed, I gotta lay in it. And when I get out, Mrs. McGarrick will get out, and we'll all be a family again. Yeah. And then like Rex Ryan comes running into the strip club, and he's like, Donnie. I don't think we mentioned this in the very beginning.
I think I mentioned it like halfway into the. I think I thought of it halfway to the movie that we didn't set up the Tubby Took. Adam Sandler bet on the fat guy to win the Boston Marathon at the beginning.
Yep. And we have that, and Rex Ryan comes in and tells him like, oh, he's doing it, and they're watching it in real time as he like falls down, and someone gives him like a gallon of chocolate milk. And
that's going to replenish him.
And we have that, and they win. And because what were the odds?
8,000 to 1. And Donnie put like what, $20 on them?
Yep, $20. So 100. They go beep beep boop boop, 160 grand. And all's well that ends well. And we get in the credits, and what Van Halen song plays over the credits.
I do want to say I had to look into it because it very clearly shows when Tubby Took wins the marathon that he gets it with a time of 2 hours, 1 minute, and 37 seconds. So I was like, okay, is this a joke? Is that the fastest time a marathon's ever been run? And the answer is yes. At the time of this movie filming, the world record was 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 57 seconds. So so Tubby Took beat that by a minute and 20. But since this movie came out, I think it was 2 years ago, someone beat that record at 2:01:39. So Tubby Took still has 2 seconds on the world record for a marathon. Like, this joke still works.
It's delightful.
Oh, yeah.
I love this movie so much. That'll replenish him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
another food item for the restaurant.
It's fantastic.
This movie is a trip. This movie, yeah. So I guess with that being, is there anything else about the movie, Rob, or should we go into our questions?
I don't think about the movie. I did want to highlight though the psychotic legend of Uncle Donnie, which is so when I was researching this movie, I was, after watching it, of course, I was very intrigued in like, like I said at the start of this, like in my eyes, Adam Sandler kind of fell off from what he used to be. And so, what happened? Like, how did this kind of complete story, this complete character come about? And I was surprised to see that it wasn't anything kind of recent from Adam Sandler, but the sources I found said that, Adam Sandler based the character of Donnie Berger off of Uncle Donnie, which is a character from a sketch on his 1999 comedy album, Stan and Judy's Kid. It's like 11 or 12 minutes long. I sent it to Zack, and I asked Zack before we recorded if he listened to it, and he's like, I only got through the first 5 minutes, and that is the toughest part to get through. It's very dry, but the premise is that it's a sketch about Uncle Donnie, who is, as far as I can tell, the same character as Donnie Berger in the movie, in affect at least. Uncle Donnie is taking some friends out on a boat so they can go water skiing. And in the very beginning, it's revealed that Donnie stole the boat and switched the plates. And so, he's doing that kind of, I can do whatever I want type of stuff. But as the sketch goes on, Donnie ends up killing all 3 of his friends. And the only thing that really, I liked about this sketch was that, the first guy, he goes out to water ski, he has trouble, so he, falls off, and they have to go back out and get him in the boat. And Donnie's driving the boat, and I think he's drinking beer and rum while this is happening. And there's a part in this sketch where he, is near the guy who needs to get back into the boat, but he's not close enough. And so Donnie says something, I know what to do, a little reverse action. And he backs up over the friend, and it kills him.
Don't worry, Donnie.
Shit.
Take your time.
Fuck this shit. Fuck. Let me fucking try a little reverse action.
Hey, Donnie, you're getting a little close to Petey.
Slow down, Donnie. Hey, Donnie, slow down.
Donnie, stop.
Oh, my leg!
And then it's a great rule of threes example, because as he keeps killing his friends type of thing, he keeps saying, he's like, how about a little reverse action? And I think for the second one, he says something like both of his friends are angry at him because he's doing something stupid and hurting them. And he's like, I got a wake up call for both you fuckers. It's called a little reverse action.
Just calm down, Pete. He's fucking in a panic. Listen, I know what to do. A little reverse action.
What are you doing,
Relax.
Oh, God, stop!
Donnie!
And he keeps reversing into people. And eventually the cops show up, or the water police or whatever. And Donnie's like, all my friends are dead, and I've been drinking. I got to make it look like this wasn't my fault. So he cuts his own hand off, and the cops seem to not care about this. They try and get Donnie. Donnie falls off the boat, and the end of the sketch is the cops are like, what should we do? How about a little reverse action? And they run over Donnie and arrest him. So I was kind of, I haven't listened to a lot of Adam Sandler's stand-up or anything, but that I definitely got the sense of, why he got so popular early on, because once you're on board, like we were saying with this movie, once you know the character, once you're along for the ride, it works in this weird, absurdist way. And just, the phrase, a little reverse action, it just kind of strikes a chord, and I don't know why.
I couldn't suffer through the whole thing. Maybe I'll go back. We'll probably
the first few minutes are rough for sure, and it's just there's nothing to this. It really takes till people start dying for something to get going.
I guess we should also point out that apparently I couldn't find any corroborating evidence of this, but I saw a bunch online that Adam Sandler attended Andy Samberg's wedding in character as Donnie.
Oh my God, that would have been amazing to see.
I tried sourcing it, figure out where that came from. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of, I guess it's IMDb, but considering that IMDb trivia doesn't ask for sources.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I typed it online. I think Andy Samberg got married in 2013, so it was well after this film was released.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think that's a weird. Okay, it's weird in one sense to attend a celebrity friend's wedding as a character from a movie that you both starred in that bombed.
Yeah,
I find that fascinating as a concept. But again, who knows how true it is?
Sure. Yeah, that's a neat little story, though. If it is true, for sure.
If it is true, it's fabulous. But yeah, so that's my boy.
Yep. If you haven't seen this movie, check it out. Unless you are die hard against this type of stuff, because I could totally get it. If you know, statutory rape and all this kind of offensiveness is definitely not your cup of tea, I don't think you're going to like this movie. But if you wrote it off because other people just said it was like one of the worst things they've ever seen, it's just like Gigli. Actually give it a shot. You know, we're not saying you're going to love it like we did, but, you know, don't just write it off because other people, you know, just said it was pathetic and pitiful and never gave any actual analysis of it.
Yeah, I think Gigli's different because Gigli is more like under the surface. Like, it's more veiled in its bizarreness. Like, you can put Gigli on the background unless you're paying attention. You're really not going to know about anything weird going on.
Sure.
This movie is so in your face about just how, oh God,
Yes.
like harsh it is.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's a bristly film. And I guess my overall, this would be my recommendation, would be like, if you've ever said the phrase, you can't joke about blank, then this movie's not for you.
Yeah.
If you've ever said the phrase, there's nothing funny about insert whatever concerns you here, then you're not going to take anything away from this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you're a fan of absurdist comedies,
oh, then this is a home run. Absolutely.
yeah, this is nothing short of a masterpiece.
I never thought I'd be saying this about That's My Boy. I was kind of baffled when I sat down to watch it that first time. I was like, I would never watch this unless it was for the podcast. But It's one of those things. It's a great gem to find, for sure.
It is. There's gems out there. So I guess questions, Cinemoddity and or late night movie, Rob?
Yes. So late night, I give it a yes, capital YES. Especially for those who, you know, kind of fall into the same vein that I did, where I love some old Adam Sandler, but kind of got out of it for, you know, a slew of reasons. I definitely think this is one to watch. And of course, it's good fun. And I wouldn't even go as far to say it's a know your audience, because it's kind of like if someone's already around with you for a late night movie, you'd have to know them to some extent. Maybe not like a first, second, or third date type of movie. Maybe know them a little better than that. But it's a capital yes for me. Cinemoddities, man, I'm torn on Cinemoddities because this is so more complete and well done than I ever would have expected from Adam Sandler. Anything that I would expect from like a comedy in, you know, I guess the post, you know, 2010 era, and especially the comedies today, even though this was years ago. But at the same time, it just rings true of like the old school Adam Sandler that I really liked, with the insanity, with the offensiveness. So I think I'm leaning towards no, but I guess maybe it's more of a Cinemoddity in the sense of, you know, when it came out and the time we are in now, because like you said earlier, Zach, this would not exist today. Like, it's almost a miracle that it exists at all, I would say. And that gives it a little bit of Cinemoddities leaning towards for me. But I'm torn. I think I got to hear what you want to say.
Late night, of course, like Rob said, this is like any any film that's a late night movie. You have to know your audience, but this is one that you either know immediately or you don't. There's no waffling on this. You know, you can usually guess whether your audience will appreciate this. And 99.9% of the time, it's gonna be no. As for Cinemoddity, I was also a little bit like kind of on the fence with this, but I think I'm gonna go for a yes, because Adam Sandler's never been. He's very rarely blatantly raunchy.
Sure.
Like he's he's been Mr. Family Man for pretty much ever, whether it be Big Daddy, The Wedding Singer, Mr. Deeds. He's always been that guy that, like, okay, everybody, even if you think his stuff is really kind of just contrived, it's at least for the most part, there's something there for everybody.
Sure.
And this is for the most part outside of not outside of his wheelhouse, but kind of outside of what he normally does. And the fact that he's able to do it so well, and like we've said for the last 2+ hours, there's so much going on in this movie. There's so much just depth that's not to be expected from other Adam Sandler films. Like Mr. Deeds doesn't have this sort of stuff.
Yeah. I'm even thinking back. I would say Billy Madison is my old school favorite, and that one's not deep at all. You know, that one has more propped up because, you know, Chris Farley's in it and you have a lot of the characters working together, and it's not really dense in the way that we've described this one.
And I do say, I think the ultimate linchpin for this being a Cinemoddity, and this is kind of the too long didn't read version, is that it's a comedy founded on the premise of a statutory rape leading to a birth.
Yes.
That alone should get it in. Like that's kind of
a good point.
That's like, okay, you're in. And any other arguments are just kind of superfluous.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you have an Adam Sandler movie that cost $75 million. That it is an Adam Sandler movie. You have all this top tier talent. You have all these cameos. You've got all this stuff going on. And the backbone of the plot is statutory rape leads to a birth.
Yeah. That's, you wouldn't need that because this movie could have just been bad dad with, kid that doesn't like him. But they set it up in that whole kind of, they throw that other layer to it. And okay, I'm with you. That premise wouldn't get made today. It hasn't been made previously, especially in this kind of, well-known of a movie. Because I think even when you hear Adam Sandler, that draws in attention. Even today with like Uncut Gems, people are like, oh, Adam Sandler, that's interesting. And so back in 2012, for this to happen, this is just something else. So, okay, I'm with you for a yes on Cinemoddity.
Cool beans. And all right, here comes the restaurant questions, the best part. So many snacks, Rob. So many snacks.
Oh, yeah. I was like losing track of all the snacks. I think we've already said some already. So this episode, when I'm editing, it'll keep me on my toes for the spreadsheet. But there were a lot of little snacks that I took from foods of the movie. And as I was going through them, I was kind of like, I don't know if we should just have, we'll have this and we'll have this and we'll have this because it's just things that were in the movie. So I was thinking about what if we combine them and we turn them into another, I think we have one so far, but another kind of Cinemoddities restaurant food challenge. And it wouldn't be a food challenge in the way that we talked about it before where, you just have to eat one item or eat a lot of one item. I was thinking we could make this kind of like, to play along with the movie and Tubby Took, the That's My Boy marathon, and or maybe like a multi-event competition. And so I'm thinking of, everybody would kind of have to get together, and it would be, there'd be like a starting line type of thing, and you'd have to go through different phases, maybe almost like a relay race if we had enough people involved. But maybe it would start where the first person has to drink a whole glass of orange juice while they're hanging upside down. And then when they complete that, the next team member has to make a 25-foot jump onto train tracks to save a burrito. And then the next team member would have to, catch chicken nuggets in their pocket. Because we didn't even talk about how they used to call Todd or Han Solo Pocket Nugget or whatever it was. And they would just fill his pocket with chicken nuggets. So that's what I was thinking. Like, let's just combine all these little things and make it like an event in the restaurant, almost like the Olympics. Or a relay race, like I said. And there's even more I didn't write down that I think we've already mentioned we could just throw together of just, okay, so now you have to do this, now you have to do this, now you have to do this. And it's all weird, either getting food or eating food type of scenarios.
I like it.
Well, are there any I'm forgetting? I feel like we mentioned so much, but there's so much in this movie.
There's the most blatant ones are the chicken nuggets.
Yep.
The orange juice. The omelet bar.
Oh, yes. Oh, we could make people shimmy across a ledge while holding 2 ice cream cones and a beer.
Yeah, the ice cream cones. Oh, the beer. Yes. I think the beer's its own thing. The beer has to be its own thing.
Okay. How many beer bottles can you fit on your person or something?
Yes, you have the Donnie Burger beer, like a beer experience where you just order it and you're like, okay, where's my beer? Just open your pocket, and you just open your pocket and there's a beer. You pull one out of your sock. Out of your like a pant pocket. Oh yeah, that's one of the more inexplicable Cinemoddities items on the menu. But yeah, it's the Donnie Burger beer experience.
Okay, I like that.
And I do think maybe we should also contract with Bacon and Legs for an omelet bar.
Oh, I love the name Bacon and Legs. I think that it should definitely be if not a part of the restaurant. Well, I guess we should say once our restaurant is mobile, once it's a traction restaurant, we would eat Bacon and Legs, but keep it intact so it's in the restaurant. Maybe before then we can commission a kiosk from them or something. That would be great. That's that whole omelet bar is fantastic.
Remember, Rob, what's the secret to making a great omelet?
Orange juice upside down? I don't know. Eating it upside down?
Tony Orlando says, coming out of it, I must know the recipe. And Donnie says, you can't buy everything, but just know the secret. It's all what they use, olive oil, not butter.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Remember, folks,
okay, right.
That's our secret at the omelet bar. Olive oil, not butter.
Nice. The only other snack I had that didn't fall into the category of the event was that I think we've discussed it a few times where, you know, when people sit down before they order their food, when they have to look through the giant menu and parse what the hell any of it means, you know, they're offered water. And I think it was a long time ago we talked about how we'd have there was some fancy sparkling type water versus tap water versus I think we said used water from the car wash at one point. but I was thinking we could give our customers the option, be like, what kind of water would you want? And in addition to the options that we already have, we would ask them, well, would you want it with what would you want your water infused with? Cucumber, rose petals, sandalwood, dick, or balls?
No, Rob.
Or any combination of those.
Rob, it's dick infused with balls. It's not dick or balls. It's water. Why is water?
I was thinking of giving them the option, and so they can mix and match. You know, if you just want cucumber and balls, you could do that. Or if you just want dick and rose petals, that'd be okay too.
With a side of Rod Stewart's jizz.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how we're gonna do that. That has to be special order. You gotta call ahead for that.
Oh my god.
But yes, remember there's also some other things we gotta do. We need some girly shit. I think it goes without saying.
Yes, more girly shit, absolutely.
The DJ.
That'll appease some people, right?
I think so. The DJ, the very monotone, unenthusiastic DJ that announces people.
Yep.
Love him. But yeah, it literally there's so much from this. There is I think maybe we should even have a Lunel or champagne. Oh God, what's her name? Champagne. I think we should have champagne.
Ooh, yeah. I don't think we have any erotic dancers in the restaurant.
There you go. We have the RoboCop dancer.
Yeah, that's interesting to say that after the girly shit. We need more girly shit, but we also need erotic dancers.
You put the girly stuff out front, then you keep that stuff further in the back.
Yeah. It's a bait and switch for sure.
Oh yeah. It'll work.
Oh God, this is insane.
Love this movie. Love this movie so much. You know what we should have? We should have an experience where it's very rare. It's kind of like the Cinemoddities equivalent of a solar eclipse. We get a king cobra and we feed it Quaaludes.
That's the only time anybody's ever seen a king cobra laugh, and I'm proud of that. Yeah, that line hits hard for some unknown reason. You're right. When you mentioned Wonder Shows and later on, it's this is getting on some of those weird, absurd jokes like Wonder Shows and Vernon Chapman pulls out, and it's fantastic.
It is. It's there's something about this. I think that's another reason why it's a Cinemoddities or Cinemoddity is that this transcends an Adam Sandler comedy.
Yes, that's a really good way to put it because, like I've been saying, I think that saying that it transcends that fits in line with everything I've been saying about how I never expected something like that from this film, from a film from him. And it is. It's great to find and great to see. I didn't know it could happen, ever since all I hear about is grown-ups, Jack and Jill pixels and stuff like that.
I wonder, it has to happen. The pendulum has to swing the other way sooner or later. When, the politically correct stuff goes down the toilet again, like it did back, in the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. I wonder if, movies like this, where, Wonder Shows is always going to be niche. That's always going to be something that's going to be underground.
Yes.
I wonder if there'll be a time when something like this gets re-examined, being yes, it's very crude, but there is a brilliance to this.
Yeah.
They're not on a mainstream level. I don't mean that. But I mean in the same way that people who look at Speed Racer, the Wachowskis film, and they're oh, we ignored this because of Robert Downey Jr. wearing a CGI suit. But now 10 plus years have elapsed. Maybe we should have appreciated the film that was ahead of its time and not just the generic cookie cutter thing we've already seen a dozen times. At that point, never mind, we've seen 1,000 times since then.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, geez. I would love to do a series of 4 Mondays. We do all the Matrix movies and then Speed Racer. And just to discuss the transition of the Wachowskis from, the sequels of the Matrix to Speed Racer. It's such a good story. At this point, Rob and Zack began talking about the Matrix movies, including the upcoming 4th one. Somewhere in there they forgot that they were recording and never ended the episode properly. So here is some Ice Ice Baby in reverse.
Yeah,